Come on.
They have no A. They have a bunch of B players on that team. Their top nine's really good, but there's no difference makers.
I remember the St. Louis Cardinals made the 04 World Series, and they won 104 games that year, and they're playing the Red Sox. And I forget who it was. I think it was John Kruk for ESPN. John Kruk said, Red Sox are going to destroy them. And everybody looked at him, and he said, the Cardinals have a really nice regular season pitching staff. They have a bunch of number 3 starters. Okay. And the Red Sox have Schilling and Pedro. And he goes, the Red Sox lineup is going to shell that pitching staff. They can't get them out.
And by the way, I still think Carolina could have beaten Toronto.
I do agree with the whole matchup thing. Because the other thing is, Florida's in their head. They're trying to hit Florida. They wouldn't have tried to hit Toronto. They just would have
skated through them. Right.
Florida, and I mean, Carolina's taken one. I mean, they're really trying out Florida. They're taking cheap shots all over the ice.
But it's so funny. Even last night, and I'm not faulting the announcer. Good hit there by Carolina. You know what happens when Carolina makes a good hit? Florida's made a 4-foot pass to another defenseman that's already been completed. Then they've made the next pass, and they're out of the effing zone. I mean, two things. You know, they talk about puck support in the offensive zone. Florida's defensive puck support. When a guy gets hit, the support they have for that player is unmatched. Hey, let's play hockey.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Friday, heading into a holiday weekend. Hope you've had a good week. We have, and thanks for being a part of it. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. How you doing, Mark? You got stuff lined up for the holiday weekend?
I am doing great. I am doing much better than the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know if I am doing as well as the Florida Panthers, but then again, David, who among us is doing as well as the Florida Panthers right now?
Well, and don't forget to include the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Well, that's true.
That's true. You
know, but again, Oklahoma City's at home. They're supposed to win those 2 games. They were 7.5-point favorites in both games. I was shocked when I saw that Carolina was favored in game 1. They were favored again in game 2. They were destroyed at home. You're right. The T-Wolves are not doing good, but they at least got on the plane last night and they can say, hey, we're going home. We can flip this. Oh, no one's won a road game yet. We're okay. Whereas the Carolina Hurricanes right now have to be questioning everything about their organization. When Rod Brind'Amour walked from the bench to the locker room, I don't recall a coach, manager of any team exiting his bench as quickly as Brind'Amour was going back to either look at film or punch the wall last night after the first period.
Sometimes butt whoopings can be very beneficial because, well, there's no gray area to a butt whooping. And as an organization, or in hockey, organization.
Thank you.
Sometimes, because Carolina's been cute. We've talked about it. They've made the playoffs 7 straight years. They've won a playoff series for 7 straight years. This is the second or third time. This is the third time in those 7 years they've made it to the conference finals. They've yet to win a game making it to the conference finals. It's pretty odd. This is the NFL team that we talked about. This was the Kansas City Chiefs before Mahomes, by the way. This was the Chiefs. Andy Reid and company, and there were a bunch of coaches before them. They put cute records on the. They got to the playoffs. Sometimes they'd win a game. Sometimes they wouldn't. But they won their 10 games every year. They were in the playoffs. Quite frankly, right now, today, okay, Carolina is not much more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you could argue they're better than the Steelers. They at least win playoff rounds. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game this will be year 9. But, that's what they are. And the Steelers keep producing winning seasons, and more years than not, they make the playoffs, and they lose. And quite frankly, lately, they get whacked.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
I'd say the Ravens before the Steelers. I mean, they're in the conference finals. They're one of the 4 remaining teams in the postseason. They've done this now a few times recently. So I think they're a little bit. If the Carolina Hurricanes were named the Rangers, the Maple Leafs, the Penguins, they would be a far bigger story. It would be like the Leafs in their collapse. But because they're a small market Southern team, no one pays any attention to their regular season. And quite frankly, when they get knocked out of the playoffs, no one really cares outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right. But as an organization,
her captain last night, when asked how the game went, he called it an ass whooping. That's the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes describing what happened to his team.
At home in an absolute must win. And I know down 1-0, absolute must win. Yeah. If they had any chance to make this a series, they had to win last night. And they got humiliated. They were lucky to get 17 shots on goal. They got 4 shots on goal in the final 3 minutes. I have to admit, I heard something last night I've never heard before. Okay? The home crowd midway through the third period was chanting, "Shoot the puck." That was their chant. I've never heard that from a crowd before. I've heard it from announcers. I've never heard it from a crowd. The theme was "Shoot the puck," because the crowd was smart enough. They could look up and see shots on goal. And at the time they were chanting, it was 12. And it was mid-third period.
But this is men and boys, varsity, junior varsity, whatever analogy you want to put in front of this series, because the Florida Panthers are showing the hockey world an exhibition into how to play the game in the postseason. They have what's called great puck support. What I mean by that is when they forecheck, like on their first goal, it starts with a hit, a couple of switches, another hit, a turnover. And where was Forsland? Right next to Tkachuk. I mean, that pass was a 6-foot pass, 8-foot pass on the tape as they're cycling and coming off the forecheck. But they also do it in the defensive zone. When Carolina tries to forecheck and they actually can come in and make the first hit, the support that Carolina has in their own end to help out their D-man, the center coming back, forwards getting back in the play, not allowing odd man rushes, making short, quick passes to get out of the zone. And I texted David last night early in the game, when is the last time Carolina's won a 50-50 puck? Every loose puck, every battle for the puck, it seems that Carolina comes away with it. Everyone. I mean, rather, Florida comes away with it. And Carolina's left scrambling again. It has been a masterclass lesson into how to play the game of hockey.
The Florida Panthers have just done something that no team has ever done. They won their 4th road game in the playoffs by 4 or more goals. Here's the funny thing. They've done it in their last 4 playoff games on the road. 6-1, 6-1. Oh, I'm sorry. Game 1 was 5-2. They added the late one. And then 5-0 last night. They've just won 4 road playoff games against good teams by a total of 22-4. Unreal what they are doing. Now, they still got to win 6 more games. They're going to win 2 more. They're getting through Carolina. This sucker's over. They're probably going to have some time off before they play the winner out west. But a remarkable performance. Oklahoma City, by the way, this is funny. Toronto loses in 7. They want to blow up every part of the organization.
And they already
Denver
have
loses. Yes, Denver loses in 7, and they're talking about all the changes they need to make around Jokic. I'm just curious if a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, if you start to think differently of your team, if you end up losing to the eventual champion and you took them 7 and everybody else is taking them 4 or 5, do you look around and go, I know we lost in the second round, but how far away are we? I mean, yeah, there were teams that played them after us, but they got destroyed. I mean, maybe we're better than, it looks on paper, so to speak. And after the NBA, and, granted, it was just one night earlier that the NBA and NHL playoffs delivered. But right now, a couple of the creams are rising. Oklahoma City seems to have found themselves. They demolished Denver in a Game 7, and they have whooped Minnesota in the first 2 games of the Western Conference Final. And the Florida Panthers, yeah, they've played 3 games in a row, too. I mean, what, 6-1, 5-2, 5-0? Florida's last 3 wins. So what's that, 16-3? And what Oklahoma City's done? Their last 3 games, okay, having won by like 60 points total. These are playoff games against good teams with star players.
By the way, with Forsling scoring last night, the first goal for the Panthers, I believe that's now 18 different goal scorers in the postseason.
Just so you know, in hockey, you dress 18 skaters, right?
Right.
Usually it's 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goalies. So usually, now, obviously a few guys have come in and out of the lineup, but I think they've played like 21 or 22 skaters, and now 18 of them have scored.
I think it's a few more than that, because I thought Maurice's comment when they were at 17 is that there was 26 guys that had played, and Maurice said that that's 9 guys that are going to get chirped a lot. Now it's down to 8. Last night, after that goal, they had 2 guys in the lineup that hadn't scored a goal in the postseason. Of their 18 skaters last night, 2 didn't have a goal. One was Rodriguez, and he had a couple of chances, and I thought for sure he was going to bury one last night. But a masterclass going on by the Hurricanes. You could say the same about Oklahoma City. They have to go on the road now and see if they can keep on keeping on against the T-Wolves. But certainly, they look like the team that won 68 games in the regular season. I mean, that is the other side of this. With what Oklahoma City did in the regular season, this was expected of them in the playoffs. We weren't sure. You and I were both dumb enough to pick. Well, you did pick Florida in 7 against Tampa. I did pick the Lightning in that series. That was my mistake. Man, oh man, did they play well last night.
But the Thunder, the big question wasn't their talent. It was, are they ready to win? Because they're young. And against Denver, shaky at times. Not shaky in the Western Conference Final against the T-Wolves, who were in the Western Conference Finals just a year ago. So this is no slouch. Miller and Moulton. Obviously, more NBA, NHL playoffs tonight and right on through the holiday weekend. Some big news in college football yesterday. We'll talk about it. We'll also have Bill Bender on the show in a couple of hours to talk about it in greater detail.
Pqt Kirwan will join us because it's Friday, and we talk to Pat on Fridays. It's what we do. You like the National Football League. We like the National Football League, and we don't think anybody delivers information on the NFL quite as well as Pqt Kirwan, and he will join us in his usual slot on Friday.
And we'll have a story in the starting 5 of a guy who got so annoyed at something that happened during the NBA NHL playoffs that he took it out on the little white ball. And now he's leading a PGA tournament for the first time. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for joining us on this Friday heading into Memorial Day weekend. MillerandMoulton.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambient. Now I'm going to get texts from my mother. So, Mark chastises me when I curse. I've had a better week, Go Raiders. I've had a better week. No, Mongo. Pat has not shared that story with us. I'll download that. Mongo, how was it? How was the interview?
Yeah, Pat told that story on the air before that he played with.
He did?
Yeah. I could have sworn he did, but we need a poll question. I need to find the coolest thing I've seen today because I can't find squadoosh.
Ambient, I am wondering if they'll mail in a game at home because they'll think it's over. Remember, they lost Game 3 to the Lightning.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. We'll be off on Monday. A best of show will air on Memorial Day. Hope everyone can take some time, even if it's just a few minutes, take some time to, contemplate, honor in some way why it is the holiday weekend that it is. The College Football Playoff Committee, I'll tell you what, Mark, these guys are tinkerers. Aren't they the golfer that's got like 7 drivers and 6 putters in the garage? I mean, they are tinkering with this playoff thing. They're not even waiting a year. They're like, nah, we know we're making changes in 2026. You know what? We're going to make some changes now. Why? Why don't you just change everything next year? No, I'm changing putters now. Huh. Okay. So they're staying with 12. They didn't want to. They're going to have to wait another year until they expand it.
Well, the damn Big 12 and ACC are demanding too much for this to go to 16. They have the audacity, David, of thinking that they deserve an automatic 3-team bid into the 16-team tournament. And the Big 10 and the SEC basically have told them to shut up, but they can't get it done without them. So they've tabled it, as they like to do in the NFL, for another year.
Well, Mark, it's a game of poker. And besides, many of us have been given the advice when changing jobs, you better ask for it walking in the door, because once you walk in the door, you lose leverage. Your best leverage is right before you walk in the door. You want something? Ask for it. Don't think you're going to spend 3 to 5 years there and do great work and they'll give it to you. You have a better chance of getting it having never worked a day there in your life. And that's what I think their attitude is. They're like, well, they're promising us 2. Let's ask for 3. Well, I mean, are we going to be, really strict with this? Yeah, they can't do it without us. They got to give us what we want or they got nothing. Okay. And so far it's working. But they're going to the straight seeding, Mark. They're doing what the NFL would not do earlier this week. the proposal from the Lions, which was removed because they didn't have the votes, was, listen, we'll put all 4 division champions in the playoffs, but we're not going to guarantee you a home game, and we're not going to guarantee you a top 4 seed. I mean, if you're a 9-8, 10-7 team, then you're probably going to be a 6 or a 7 seed. And the NFL is not ready to make that change. College football did 1 year of 4 byes to the 4 best conference champions and decided, this whole Boise State, Arizona State getting byes, this ain't going to work for us. No,
I mean, look, you look back, in Oregon for the regular season that they had got screwed.
They did.
They did. I mean, I know no one in this part of the world cares about the Oregon Ducks, and I get it. But if that would have been the Florida Gators with the 1 seed, or even Ohio State with the 1 seed, and they would have had to play the gauntlet, then people would have been freaking out about it. Had they lost to a 5-12 game in which the 5, by all accounts, was really the 3, if you know what I mean. So
no, there's no question. But I'm impressed that Oregon was the one that got hosed, and they still made the change right away. I mean, we know they would have made this change in February if it was Ohio State or Alabama that ended up as the 1 seed having to play, a team as good and talented as Ohio State in their first playoff game after the bye. It's like, wait, what?
Right. This is Alabama winning the SEC, beating Georgia in the SEC championship, and then having to play Georgia in the second game of the playoff. I mean, that's right. That's what this was. Right.
So they'll still have the 4 byes, but it'll be to the teams that are deemed to be the 4 best. I always love that. As if the so-called experts really know who's best. They don't. They don't. And it seems to change week to week. Yet when it comes time at the end, they're an authority. Okay. Got it. So we'll do 1 more year at 12. Top 4 get byes. And the one change, though, is that in last year's format, Notre Dame could never be one of the top 4. They could never get a bye because it went to the top 4 conference champions, and obviously Notre Dame can't be a conference champion. Now Notre Dame can get a bye, can't they, this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100% top 4 team.
Right, they can get a bye. Now, don't know if they want one because that means they lose the home playoff game, and as we know, Notre Dame's in this for the money. I mean, it's not like they've made any bones about that. I mean, they're not frauds. They've told you now for 40 years what it is they're doing and why. They've been out in the open about it. We got our own network. Why? Money. Hello.
We're not joining the conference. Why? Well, we don't like to share. I know that's not very Catholic of us, but I just have to break it to you. We don't like to share.
No, we can make more by ourselves than we can joining this big conglomerate and sharing. So we're going to do it our way.
And their way is working.
And boy, did it work last year.
And they've got it going on. It looks like they've got a coach now that got a little something going on. He can recruit pretty well. They've got the money to not only get players, but they have the money to keep players. They're going to be salty this year. Again, that young quarterback can play.
You mean the grandson of the former Michigan coach?
Yes. Yes, I do mean CJ Carr. I do, David.
Come on now. The little things. It's the little things in life that we want. I mean, and, whether you care about either Notre Dame or Michigan or what have you, but come on now. You know the backstory, okay? Grandpa Carr is going to be in the stands. NBC's going to know where he is. They're going to have a camera on him. Trust me, we do this an hour before kickoff. We have a guy at CBS who goes through the crowd and stands behind the parents of the quarterbacks. Here's so and so, and we find them, and okay, that's where they are, and we write where they are, and then we know right where to go for the cutaways. They're going to know where Lloyd is. Do you think there will ever be a shot of Lloyd Carr wearing some kind of Notre Dame gear? A hat?
Ooh, I don't think so.
I don't either, but I just
I don't think so.
Blood is thicker than. I mean, I'm not saying wearing it when they play Michigan. I'm just saying, grandson, who's got 3
I
years
got
of
you.
eligibility, who's got 4 years of eligibility.
I just thought you were going to say, because one, the odds of them playing Michigan would be very slim. It's going to happen where? In the playoff.
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing.
They don't play. I mean, come on, David. They don't play anymore.
No, I know.
And this whole Underwood at Michigan and CJ Carr at Notre Dame, I mean, it adds a delightful story to a great rivalry that doesn't play anymore. If they, under the tutelage of these quarterbacks, meet in the postseason, oh my goodness, would that be a monster, David?
It would be epic.
But college football, the 12 teams continues for a year, but straight seeding. I'm fine with it. Do you like it better this way or the old way?
No, I like it better this way. And then they'll go to 14 or 16 teams next year, and they'll do the straight seeding again. Probably 16, because, well, when given a chance to do more or less, everybody does more.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sonny, I swear the most amazing thing about that whole App State upset of Michigan was that it was the first ever game on the Big Ten Network, football game.
You got any thoughts towards a poll question?
Mm-mm. You going to watch the Indy 500?
No. Oh, that's a. The only thing I thought, it's Memorial Day weekend. Hamburgers or hot dogs?
There we go. That's funny, Nix. That's interesting. Okay, music and RCB.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan and Bill Bender, both scheduled to join us to talk pro and college football. They'll do so in the 8 a.m. Eastern hour. For those of you in Huntsville who don't get that hour, wait an hour. And then at 8 a.m. your time, you can download it at millerandmoulton.com.
And if you can't wait, join us, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton or youtube.com/Miller and Moulton, where you can take in the show via video and just see the size of David's head.
Monstrous.
It is.
All right.
And it's not fair because I do not have a small melon, but my camera is so much further back that I look like I have this tiny head.
Yep.
Compared to you when you see it on camera.
The only thing I got going for me as a guy who's about 6 months away from 60, still have a decent salad.
No, you've got a great salad. You've got good hair. So, you know,
have a decent
if the
salad.
wife lets you, would you have colored it?
Yes, but I would not have colored it like the blatant. Oh my goodness. Look at man, enough already. Yeah, we get it. You don't want to go gray, but man, is your hair black. Okay, I would not have gone with the I don't want a gray hair showing dye job. I would want to have tried to just salt and pepper it, which probably would have cost me a lot of money. Okay, I mean, it's tough. You know, I paid $19 to $23 and have for 15 years to get my hair cut. In fact, you know, at first it was $15 to $19. You know, the haircut inflation over the years, it's gone up about $4. It's tough to get salt and pepper for $19 to $23 plus tip. I probably would have had to pay big money. But yes, 10 or so years ago, I would have tried to lightly dye it just to take, you know, half of the gray away.
If we got a GoFundMe collected for your hair dye, would you do it once just to, because your wife never notices your haircuts. And I think it would be flipping hysterical for you to go get your hair done and come home with dark hair and just see what your wife said.
All right. Can I be honest? I did it once and didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell you. I did it. I still lived in Southwest Florida. All right. And we were having this discussion, and one of the hairdressers said, I can do it. And I looked right at her and I made her a bet. I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to tip you well. But if you pull this off, I will literally walk in 3 to 4 weeks and hand you $50. All right. And we did it one time where she said, "Oh, I can dye your hair and people won't know that it's dyed." And I went, "You're on." And I did it one time. I had to pay for it. And nobody noticed. And I went, "I'll be darned. I
Huh.
could do this." Yep. So I did it one time about 4 years ago. Loved it. Should have kept doing it. Because then it's like, "Hey, is something wrong?" And I look right at them and say, "I've lost weight." And they'll go, "It can't be it." Okay. And then it just totally messes with them.
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
So think about it, how much that ended up costing me. Because I made a bet on top of it.
Right.
So, the thing was like close to $50. And then I had to tip her, and I tipped her 20. Okay. And then I owed her 50. So that was like a $120 experiment there.
But you looked good.
I did. I felt great. I love the fact that every day no one noticed. Because I think I'm pretty perceptive. I think I'm very perceptive, actually. And so I'm thinking, there's no way you get that by me. And I literally am thinking to myself, come on, if Mark did that, there's no way Mark would get that. Now, you, of course, you have 4 gray hairs now. You had none then. But I'm thinking, if things were the same, I'm like, there's no way Mark would have gotten that by me. I sit next to him, for goodness sakes. No way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well done.
We talked about it, the College Football Playoff Committee. They're going to stick with 12 teams for one more year. They're just going to straight seed them, however, 1 through 12. So the best 4 teams, not the 4 best conference champions, but the best 4 teams will get your first round buys, and then everybody else will be seeded and paid out accordingly. There will then be a new playoff format a year from now. It'll be either 14 teams with top 2 getting buys, or it'll be 16 teams with no buys. Hey, did you hear what the Big Ten and the SEC, particularly the SEC, said yesterday? I don't know where they got this from, but they said, yeah, we're probably going to have to start playing playoff games Army-Navy weekend. Wait, what? Oh, where has that been discussed before? For, I don't know, the last 2 to 3 years? Even well before the playoff took shape. So don't know how many more years Army-Navy is going to be a standalone game. And for some of us, that sucks. Hockey. I'll tell you what. Don't know if they're going to win the cup because they're going to play somebody from the West, Dallas or Edmonton, who's a whole level better than Carolina. But man, oh man. Men versus boys, varsity versus JV. Pick the analogy that you want. Panthers in Carolina in an absolute must-win for the home team. Yeah. Held them to 3 shots in the first period. Scored as many goals as they held their opponent 2 shots for. Bennett with 2 goals and an assist. Kachuk with a goal and 2 assists. Verhaeghe with 3 assists. Panthers, oh, by the way, 2 more power play goals. So much for this vaunted Canes penalty kill. Barkov even scored late, and he hadn't scored in a while. Bob with 17 saves and a playoff shutout. 5-0 Florida. They're up 2 spit. Maybe there's a chance that the Panthers absolutely out of boredom mail one in, spent too much time on the golf course. But probably not. This would be 3 straight trips to the Stanley Cup Finals for the Florida Panthers. They're 2 wins away. Tonight, by the way, game 2, Edmonton at Dallas. Remember, Dallas scored 5 in the third to win game 1 6-3. 3 of them on the power play. 8 o'clock, 4-letter network. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. One other hockey note, Toronto fired team president, although that wasn't the title that he had, but team president Brendan Shanahan. So they're making changes in Maple Leafs land. NBA. Thunder. They're really good at home. And the T-Wolves have had no answer. OKC was up 22 going to the fourth, cruised to a 118-103 win. They're up 2-0 in the Western Finals. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 38. Shot 15 free throws, by the way. Shot 14 in game 1. He is good at getting to the line, but the officials help him get to the line also. They really do need to stop rewarding him. He's like, sometimes it's obvious all he's trying to do here is get to the line. Why are you rewarding him? Anthony Edwards with 32 in the loss. T-Wolves return home where they're 4-1 in the playoffs, but the Thunder are a very respectable 3-2 on the road. Game 2 tonight, must win for the Knicks after blowing game 1. Vegas has them a 5.5-point favorite again. 8 o'clock TNT. Pacers and Knicks. Pacers' road record is what? They went 1-1 in Milwaukee, 3-0 in Cleveland. They're 5-1 on the road, are the Pacers in the playoffs. That's impressive. Baseball. Yankees, 3-game sweep of Texas, 1-0 the final. They have a 5-game lead over the Jays. Toronto completes a 3-game sweep of the Padres. You know, San Diego's lost 6 in a row, and apparently, Mark, after the 5th loss in a row, there was some fighting in the clubhouse. Apparently, a few of the players fighting some of the other players and saying there's not enough leadership in this here clubhouse. So pay attention to the next few days with the San Diego Padres, because they have a GM who's very aggressive. If he thinks this ship is sinking, he will blow it up. Toronto in 11 beat the Padres 7-6. The Phillies complete a 4-game sweep of the Rockies, 2-0 the final. They have a 2-game lead in the East. And Colorado, with the worst 50-game start to a Major League Baseball season since 1895.
In modern baseball, nobody has ever had a 50-game start as bad as the Rockies. They are 8-42.
They're on pace to win 27 games. Maybe 26 now. They've lost so many. By the way, the Angels have won 7 in a row.
Yes,
and the A's have lost 9 in a row. Angels double up the A's 10-5 by scoring 5 in the 7th and 3 in the 9th. We said it was a really big series for the Guardians, going to Detroit for 4. That Cleveland was already 6 back. They couldn't afford to lose this series. Taking 3 out of 4 would be awesome, but they had to get at least a split. Well, they played yesterday with some urgency. Got some great pitching, some timely hitting. 7-0 Cleveland over Detroit.
Detroit had the bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the 8th, and it was 3-0 still. Cleveland got out of the inning and then put the 4 insurance runs up in the top of the 9th.
The Nats with their 5th straight win, beating the Braves 8-7-10. Good news for Atlanta. Ronald Acuna back today from the ACL injury. Hope he's 100% as soon as possible. He is somebody worth paying to see play. He's terrific. Rain in Boston. Orioles and Red Sox didn't play. They'll do a doubleheader today. It's a split doubleheader. You'll have a couple hours to make your bets as to whether or not you're betting sweep or split. 1:30 and 7 o'clock are first pitches. Mark, the Pirates lost again, but that's not the story. The story is them and 3 other teams heading into last night had played 26 games in a row in the history of Major League Baseball without scoring 5 runs in a game. So the Pirates had scored 4 runs or less in 26 consecutive games. That's essentially a month. Down 8-3 in the 9th, the Pirates scored 2 to lose 8-5 and snap the 26-game stretch and not become number 1 because they were tied with 3 other teams. Houston got 2 homers from Altuve and beat Seattle 9-2. By the way, I spoke of the Pirates a moment ago. Ben Cherington, their general manager, at least for a few more months, he shut down all this Paul Skeens talk, trade talk. He's like, where's this coming from? We're not trading him.
No, we plan on losing him in free agency like we do with all of our good players.
Right, in about 4 or so years. I mean, come on now. One other baseball note, the Cubs are hosting the 2027 All-Star Game. And we mentioned it yesterday. The news was breaking late in the show, but NBC wants to replace ESPN. They want the same package. Now, apparently, they're not willing to offer the $550 million that ESPN was paying. ESPN, by the way, wanted to keep the package, but was only willing to offer $200 million. The word is that NBC's offering $400 to $500 million, but the reason they're not offering the $550 is ESPN also had radio rights and some international broadcast rights, and NBC's like, yeah, we don't need any of that. But the Cubs hosting the 2027 All-Star Game, it's been a long time since the Cubs have had the All-Star Game. What's it, like 89 or 90? Something like that? It's been a long time. PGA Tour, Mark. Oh, we're up against it time-wise here. Uh-oh, I got to hurry up.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds. Fly.
John Pock is a Knicks fan. He said, I was so annoyed by their loss, I took it out on the golf ball. He shot at 7 under. He leads the Colonial by 3. WNBA, Atlanta held Caitlin Clark without a 3, but Indiana won anyway, 81-76. And longtime North Florida men's basketball coach, Matt Driscoll, all-time winningest coach in the A-Sun. After 16 years, he resigned. He's going to make twice the money as an assistant at Kansas State. Good for him.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I actually think Caitlin's got a lot of Isaiah Thomas in her. You know, she wants to put on the charm and the great smile. She can do it. Okay. She's a point guard who can score. Isaiah was a point guard who could score. But when Isaiah wanted to get chippy, Isaiah can get chippy. When Caitlin wants to get chippy, Caitlin can get chippy.
I didn't watch much of it. I didn't have time, but I threw on the beginning of the docu-series, the Earnhardt thing, and watched about 10 minutes of the first one. I think it'll be good. I just wanted to, the open and see kind of how it was produced and that type of thing. And I'm like, all right, I can sink my teeth into this.
So apparently the first two parts dropped.
Yes. All right, people are going to freak out because I screwed up. We're going to have like 43 seconds of dead air right now, and I don't know how to fix it, so I don't know what to do. I hit the wrong button coming into break there. I was kind of freaked out. When I was trying to turn off the starting 5 music and hit the wrong button, and it's like, son of a...
Yeah. That's all right.
I'm not going to lose any sleep. I don't know how to... I've never been trained on this machine, so I'm just, if I screw up, it's like, oh, well. All right, here we go. Dead air, everybody. Dead air.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton Coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, heading into Memorial Day weekend. For many of us, it will be a holiday weekend. Enjoy it. Have some fun. Spend some quality family time. If you can, take a moment as to why it is a holiday weekend. And if by chance there's a parade or an event, in your town, taking it in is not the worst thing in the world. Just saying. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So are we going with your poll question heading into a holiday weekend?
I put it up already because basically this is how the poll question comes about on our show. We don't talk at all before the show. Today we had a long talk about the Florida Panthers and really the Carolina Hurricanes. That was really the focus of the Miller and Moulton pre-show meeting, the Carolina Hurricanes, which has absolutely nothing to do with the show that we're going to do. We're not going to speak about really what we discuss because none of you really care. It's a franchise that it's in its own area does very well. They're very popular. But my son, who's an hour and a half from Raleigh, on Tuesday night, game 1, he was out with friends to watch the game. And he said the place they were at, there was 5 TVs. 4 of them were on the NBA. 1 was on the NHL. That's an hour and a half from Raleigh. They're
right.
more into the NBA. So you've got to be right there in Raleigh to get Carolina Hurricanes fever. So that was our pre-show. During the first break, David got up and did something, which that's his prerogative. We've got only so many minutes. During the second break, he stayed. I said, got any ideas for a poll question? And he went, no. I said, I've got one. He's like, what's that? Memorial Day weekend. What are you putting on the grill? Hamburgers or hot dogs? And he said, I like it. So there was the entire discussion of the poll question. So that's it.
Yep.
For your backyard Memorial Day grilling, if you had to pick one, which are you going with? Hamburger, hot dog. See, if you had to pick one, that avoids you texting me at 21,000 and saying, pork chop, New York strip. I get it. Hamburger, hot dog. It's Memorial Day.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Couple of nuggets here. So
chicken or Denver?
Wait, chicken or what?
Denver.
Well, I was always a fan of David Thompson. Okay, Doug Moe's hair is coach, Dan Issel, Alex English, Kiki Vandeweghe. I actually liked the Nuggets. I loved their style of play. I thought they were fun.
Oh, yeah.
We all knew they weren't beating the Lakers, but that's okay. You could be a fun team anyway. Oh, anyway, showing my age there. So I am not going to talk about the tush push, okay? But I just want to bring up a stat. So short yardage last year, which is 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. Do you know that the Eagles were 4th? Jaden Daniels was 12 of 12 keeping the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 last year.
Okay.
The Commanders were perfect. How about this for irony because of how their season ended? Josh Allen and the Bills were 94%, 17 of 18. Yikes. Bo Nix and the Broncos were 3rd at 86%. When he kept the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, they converted 12 of 14. Now, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were 81%, 22 of 27. I mean, does anybody find that interesting? I mean, the whole hubbaloo, brouhaha, all the noise being made, okay? They're actually may not be the best team in the 3rd and 4th and 1 situation. They do it differently, and people are freaking out.
That's it. They do it differently. It's the whole formation. It's everything about the way they line up. People don't like the way that it looks. And obviously, the numbers you gave, they run it more than anyone else. They go to that formation far more than any other team. I don't think the others are using the tush-push in their quarterback sneaks.
No. The Chiefs started to, though, and they started using a tight end. Started using the backup tight end as the ball carrier in their tush-push scenarios and quarterback sneak scenarios. So, because Mahomes got hurt on a quarterback sneak once, and I don't think he's run one since. Miller and Moulton. We didn't talk about this. I don't know if it's still a thing. It was with our longtime producer. I know for a while it was a bit of a thing with you. Do you care who's on Hard Knocks anymore?
A little. I mean, I will watch it. I like the show. I think it's done well. I watched, I loved the in-season one with the Dolphins. I thought that was terrific. The off-season, the one that they canceled on us, the Giants off-season one was incredible. Incredible.
Not for Joe Shane, okay, but maybe for the audience. The Bills have Hard Knocks, which is interesting because usually if you make the playoffs, in the past you weren't eligible for Hard Knocks. So, but
did
now
they
there are
raise their hand, or I mean, did they go to the Bills and the Bills said okay? Because you're right, if you make the playoffs, what were the criteria? If you make the playoffs, you don't have to do it. If you have a first-year head coach, you don't have to do it.
Right. And so every year there was like between 6 and 10 teams that were actually eligible for Hard Knocks. And then it was a matter of who hasn't done it before. There are certain teams like the Giants have been eligible quite a few times. And John Mara has just said to the league, no, we're not going to do it. Don't send them here. It's not going to go well. And it's why he relented, and because the league said, John, it's kind of unfair. You say no, but the other 31 teams, we're going to strong arm. And that's why the Giants relented and did the off-season one last year.
Worked out well for the Giants and Saquon Barkley.
I think they would have been better off doing one of the in-season ones over the years, don't you? Now, did you watch, like last year, they do this division Hard Knocks thing?
I thought last year was the first year, because the year before I thought they did the Dolphins in season, and then they did the division.
Yes.
And they did the AFC North last year. I watched an episode, David. It was good, and I just found myself, whether it was too busy, other things I was watching, it's not the appointment viewing that it had been for me in the past.
Well, this year, the NFC East teams will be the late season. I think it's December. Maybe it's November and December. The in-season Hard Knocks will be the NFC East.
I think the Bills for the preseason, I think that's a great choice because you have one of the best fan bases in the league. So they're going to eat it up. And for the rest of us, I think it's going to be entertaining to have it with a team that has really high expectations. A lot of the times they give us teams that didn't make the playoffs the year before. So the expectations are pretty low. We come out of it going, oh, they're going to be great. And rarely they are. But the Bills, they are obviously a perennial favorite to win or at least get to the conference final. So I think it'll be great watching one of the best quarterbacks in the game and their whole setup, even their little off-season kerfuffle with the GM and the local radio guys about drafting. I'm sure that will work its way into the show, and we'll see. So Bill's a great choice.
And one other thing I wanted to throw at you, since we've spent a little bit of time, and Bill Bender will join us next hour. We'll talk about it in greater detail. The College Football Playoff Committee deciding to go with straight 1 through 12 seeding. And we know that the NFL is working towards it. They're not there yet. Straight 1 through 7 seeding. Mark, we are puckheads, the two of us. There is talk within the sport that they need to reseed the hockey playoffs in a different way. And now we said this going into the playoffs. The NHL was going to have a bad ratings year. The NFL is having a bad ratings playoffs. And we said, well, look at the teams that are not in. They drive a lot of the rating. They ain't in. No Boston, no New York, no Detroit, no Chicago, no Pittsburgh. They're not going to do well. And they're not. But now, Mark, we're having a non-competitive conference final between Florida and Carolina. If they had reseeded based on points in the NHL, this series would have actually been a first-round series. Carolina was the 4, Florida was the 5. Washington would have played Montreal. Toronto would have played the Devils. Tampa Bay would have played Ottawa. Carolina would have played Florida. Let's just say the favorites win. We would have had Washington against Florida in the second round, Toronto, Tampa Bay in the second round. It'd be Florida against either Toronto or Tampa Bay in the conference final if they had reseeded. That's just the East. I didn't go through the West.
Look, there's talk of it inside of the sport. Here's the problem. The commissioner, at least unless something has changed, loves the system that he's put in and has given no indications that he's willing to relent on changing the playoff seeding. I've always been one that likes it because it promotes divisional rivalries. And I grew up watching Detroit have to finally get out of the Norris division and beat Chicago or Toronto, which they couldn't do for many years. And it created great rivalries. And I think it's doing the same thing in the state of Florida. I just don't know if it helps their U.S. brand, if you know what I mean. Because it's fine.
And Mark, I agree with you, and I love the division rivalries. I love the Rangers having had to get out of the Patrick division back in the day. Okay, but these ratings are really down, and I wonder if that's going to force change.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right, Clark, I've got to tell you, that's good research. But the fact that you were at 3 bars on a Thursday night may seem to be a problem. I'm just saying. Take it for what it's worth. Did they all have hoop on? Did they have baseball on? What was on the TVs, Clark? I'm curious. I think bars are lazy, too. I think this in general of all places. They put their TVs on ESPN, and if they have them on the night before TNT, whoever comes in the day switches them back to a sports channel, and then someone later has to go find TNT. I think that's a problem of laziness of people running TVs at bars that I see all the time. But it doesn't matter. It means no one was asking to get the games on.
And I forget who asked. No, the conference champions are guaranteed a spot in the playoff. They're just not guaranteed a top seed. So, like, let's just say the same teams make it this year. The group of 5 representative, Boise State would have been in. Arizona State and Clemson, Big 12 ACC champs, they would have been in the playoff. They just would not have been seeded the way they were seeded last year. So winning the conference still matters because it gets you in the playoff. It just doesn't guarantee you a top 4 seed anymore.
Wes, I'm with you 100%. 100%. There is a place that we like to go when my daughter's at gymnastics practice, and my wife always kind of lets me pick my seat first at the bar so I can at least watch whatever it is I want to watch. And they never have the right things on, and if I ask them to change it, it is like you're asking them to open the safe. So, Clark, not that I'm judging by your 3 bars, but I will share this little story with you. Last week, I was going to play golf and playing with a guy that I'm good friends with. The girl at the halfway house called him on his cell phone at 9 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, whenever she opened, to tell him that they were out of Miller Lite because there was a problem with the distributor. Literally called him to say, hey, we don't have any Miller Lite. He asked the question, do I have a problem or am I a really good tipper? So this morning, before I left to do my radio show, I made sure that I have a cooler in my car packed with Miller Lites for today's round of golf.
Outstanding.
I texted him and said, do I have a problem? He goes, not unless you cracked one at 5 a.m.
Do you have a problem or am I just a good friend?
Right. We're ready for today. Daughter's last day of 5th grade today.
Hey! What grade do you think she'd give it? A minus, B plus, B?
I think it would end up being an A minus because she, I don't want to say choked, but she needed to get a 95 on her last math test to have a 95 average or better in every class, and she didn't get it. So I say she choked.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you've got plans for Memorial Day weekend. At the very least, hope you have Monday off. We do. It'll be a best of Miller and Moulton on Monday. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And that's where you go also to find our poll question, which is simply, so you inclined to go hamburger or hot dog this Memorial Day weekend? Here's something that I had never thought of, but I agree with. In early responses, Mark, we had people say they think Memorial Day weekend is more of a hamburger weekend and 4th of July is more of a hot dog holiday. I love the fact that our audience is breaking down the holidays, though. I mean, we have to appreciate that as two people who have to break down the sports world, that now our audience is so nooks and crannies. They're analyzing our questions.
It's a great breakdown. I am, because I have worked very hard to lose a bunch of weight. I have not, and I love hot dogs. I haven't had a hot dog in 2025. I mean, that's a fact. And I love hot dogs. I voted hot dog, and I think it's just because I miss them so.
Okay. So are you holding out until like Chestnut there and the 4th of July weekend? Is you holding out and then you're going to do your hot dog eating contest?
I don't know if I'll have a hot dog eating contest. There's a Michigan Coney Island place not too far from here. And it's the only place that I know of where I can get a true Detroit Coney sauce on a dog. I'll probably break down and stop there. The problem is I'd love to go in and just have a dog.
Can't do it.
No, they're like Frito-Lay potato chips. David, you can't have just one. The odds are if I have one, I'm having three. And that's why I've avoided the place.
Okay. All right. Sounds like a place you have to hit solo, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
because they're messy and they're all over my hands. I might drip some on the shirt. Absolutely.
Right. You want the full cheating experience. You want to go solo. Right. Take your time. Hide it. Kind of like when we hide the wrappers at the bottom of the garbage can.
Exactly.
And then put the stuff over it. I did it the other day.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I did it the other day. I put the empty box of snack back in the cupboard because the garbage was pretty full. Okay. And believe it or not, anyway, we have a garbage chute right outside our condo. It's like one of my wife's favorite things in the world because she does not want any smell of any kind in the house except like potpourri and candles and what have you. So she throws the garbage out 7 o'clock every night. And we have a crystal clean garbage bag. So I couldn't put the box of snacks in it because then it'd be the only thing in the garbage bag. So, and I can't go outside and use the chute. I'll make noise and she'll know, well, what's he doing throwing something out? What are you doing? So I had to put the empty box of snacks back in the cupboard.
I will tell you, I got busted this week. I made homemade ice cream over the weekend. And I put the ice cream in a Tupperware container and then back into the freezer. My daughter went to bed Sunday night. And Monday, when I picked her up from school, she said, how much ice cream did you have last night? I said, why do you ask? She goes, I had trouble falling to sleep, and I heard you at least twice go into the freezer because I could hear you unclicking the Tupperware.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. First off, young lady, you need to be a sound sleeper, okay? Get to sleep. You still have school for another day.
Time now for the coolest thing I've seen today. And by today, I really mean yesterday because it's pretty damn early in the morning to have seen something cool already. I go to David's favorite competition. And the coolest thing I've seen today is brought to you by Air Advantage. Go to myairadvantage.com, myairadvantage.com. 18 months, no interest, great financing, no payments. You can get a great deal. They are a Ream Pro partner. 18 months, no interest, no payments available. 433-4635, 433-4635, or myairadvantage.com. We go to the Hockey World Championships, where in the
I can't believe you're going here. I didn't do the story, but I didn't think you would because you mocked me when I go World Championships.
I do, because it's not. You acted like it's a big deal in this country. It's not. It's a deal in Canada because they think everything in hockey they're supposed to win, and in typical Canadian fashion, they're losers again. This time at the hands of Denmark. Denmark with maybe their biggest win in their country's history in hockey. Nikolai Ehlers tied it up at 17:43 of the third, and Nick Olsen scored what they say is the biggest goal in Danish hockey history with 49 seconds left in regulation to take out the Canadian team 2-1. That Canadian team had Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon on it.
That Canadian team is filled entirely with NHL players.
How many NHL players on the Danish team, do you ask? One. Ehlers, who scored the goal, joined the team after the Winnipeg Jets were eliminated from the second round of the playoffs. Man, are you sure, Canada, you don't want to become the 51st state? Because here's the thing. In this country, we win championships.
I was going to say, I think the U.S. got through to the semis in the World Hockey Championships. Canada ousted in the quarters. Yeah, they were I will say, the reaction shots, obviously it's the biggest thing that's, the fans went crazy. It reminded me, I remember the 1980 Olympics, and there was a game that Poland was playing like Czechoslovakia. And I'm watching because, I'm a goober. And it was 1-0 late second period. And Ken Dryden says on the air, Al, if you're Poland, the last thing you want to do here is score before the intermission. And Al goes, wait, what did you say? And Ken Dryden said, Czechoslovakia is asleep. The last thing you want to do is wake them up. You want to make sure it's 1-0 going to intermission. They stay asleep. And then you just want to shock them at some moment in the third, and they might not recover. And I'm like, wow. And that, all these years later, Mark, what's it, Denmark?
Denmark.
Had them right where they wanted. Down 1-0 with 3 minutes to go. They're sound asleep. Let's pounce.
So that's the coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by Air Advantage. Visit them online, myairadvantage.com. Pat Kirwan coming up in about 30 minutes' time. Bill Bender, an hour from now to talk college football. They made changes in their playoff. It's now straight seeding. The conference champions still getting into the tournament, but not guaranteed the bye for the top 4 seeds as they were before, only for conference champions. Now they will seed it 1 through 12. The concession that was given is that the 4 best conference champions are still guaranteed the same amount of money that they would have received if they would have been given the buys.
Because the buys get you through to the second round, so you're at least assured of that money. Hey, I know we're up against it here. Now I'll wait till after the break. My bad.
Wow.
I want to get into this a little bit.
That's a tease right there. You want to give that tease? I mean, you got enough time to tease that a little better if you want, because I'm intrigued.
Yeah, you know me. I'm terrible with teases. That's the best I could do. I teased myself, quite frankly. I don't know if I can come up with something to tease anyone else.
You're all eating hamburgers this weekend, apparently, for your backyard Memorial Day grilling. If you had to pick one, which one are you going with, hamburger or hot dog? Right now, 82% of you are saying hamburger. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
How about our buddy Mark Packer calling it quits?
I know. Good for him.
Absolutely. You know, it was funny, and I know we'll probably have Kurt on before the Belmont. I never text like guests to the show. I just don't do it. I don't text David Sampson even. Kerwin's different. But I almost text Becker on Sunday and said, well, I know it was a great race, but I need your opinion. Was that a great ride or a terrible ride by the jockey? I mean, I'll ask when we have him on next time, but I mean, because you're right. You know, when I read 40's column, and, you know, he's a horse guy. He's like, talked to basically 10 people. 5 said it was a bad ride. 5 said it was the ride of a lifetime. Nick's, by the way, I can bring beer on my course because we can have our own carts. I keep my mother lives on the course, so I keep my cart at my mother's house. And it's pretty difficult for them to stop you when everybody has golf carts in their own house with coolers on them. So they really don't say anything. And trust me, they get enough money out of me at the bar anyhow.
Johnny Mac, that sounds good.
Do you boil the brats first, Johnny Mac? And do you boil them properly in beer?
So Clark has thought about this. He brings his own 6 or 12 pack, but then he buys a 6-pack there, so they don't give him a hard time.
Usually, I sometimes I'll get one more or two more at the turn, depending.
A hot dog is a side item with the hamburger. I like
That's very Miller and Moulton-esque right there.
Solid. I was laughing inside when Mark said, I haven't had a hot dog in 2025. And I said, yeah, I haven't had a hot dog since yesterday. I had 2 yesterday.
We have very average dogs at our club, too. Very average. I don't do the hot dog at the turn because they're just not that good.
Yeah, that's
I've
disappointing.
complained about it, too. During the invitational week, they get the Boar's Head cart, the encased wieners in the water. They're amazing. But they've got that stuff. I'm like, why don't we serve those? Because they don't fit on the roller. I'm like, well, then get rid of the damn roller.
Right. Hey, you keep asking me for more money. How about you guys upgrade things a little bit? I got something here if you want it.
Good. Oh, you just teased it. You better. I hope you. Are you kidding me right now?
I had forgotten I had teased it. That was all of 7 minutes ago. Between my age and the hour of the day, sometimes things seep through.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Pqt Kirwan expected to join us then. Bill Bender, 1 hour from now. We'll talk about some of the things that I would like to get into greater detail about right now. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question as we head into a holiday weekend: is this a hamburger weekend for you or a hot dog weekend for you? Our audience has decided this is a hamburger weekend, and 4th of July is the hot dog holiday weekend. So you vote accordingly. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. So here is the item that I wanted to talk about in greater detail, and I ended up teasing myself and maybe the audience. Who knows? Maybe I just, louse things up for myself.
Not at all. David did a good job of teasing. We don't have time. We'll get to it. Fine. The best part was, and this is why occasionally you should take the show on youtube.tv/Miller and Moulton or twitch.tv, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We're 35, 40 seconds away from coming back. And David says to me, hey, I've got something here. I'm like, well, yeah, you just teased it on air. You better.
And I start laughing because I go, oh, yeah, that's right. I did. That's when you know either A, it's early in the morning, B, you're getting old, or both.
Right. Playoff games taking your toll on the hosts as well, staying up late for all
darn
these
right they are.
Tonight.
Darn right. I did find having a conversation with myself mid-third period, mid-fourth quarter going, why are you still up? Go to
these
bed.
Are over. These are done.
Yeah. And I just watched in case, a melee broke out, which hardly ever happens anymore. But anyway. So, and we mentioned this a couple months ago as, hey, it's out there. I don't know how serious it is. So Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, the SEC and the Big Ten, apparently are strongly considering changing how it is they end their respective conference seasons. That, let's face it, especially now that we're going to straight seeding, what is the significance of these conference championship games? I mean, you could argue the winner gets a top 4 seed and the loser doesn't, but we're only going to have this for one more year. There will probably be no more buys after this year. Yeah, it will affect seeding, but is that enough for you to watch? If you know what I mean. Is that enough for the people to continue to spend the money that they spend to go to Atlanta and Indianapolis for the weekend? It ain't cheap to go to these conference championship games. Are these games still going to be worth it? So, Mark, they're considering two different scenarios. One is we keep our conference championship games the way they are. Best two teams in the conference are going to play, winning the conference, stature, the whole deal, better seeding, it's worth something. But they're then thinking about on the same day, since they are going to be assured of 4 teams, of having a playoff to fill out who the other 2 teams are. So that the 3rd place team would play the 6th place team, and the 4th place team would play the 5th place team. And the 2 winners secure playoff spots. Now, remember, if we go to 16, and let's just say we're going to the 4-4 for SEC Big Ten, 2-2 for Big 12 ACC, and then 1 for Group of 5, that's 13 spots. Even if Notre Dame grabs a spot most years, that's 14. In theory, the losers of these play-in games, 2 of them from the SEC and the Big Ten, may still grab one of the final seedings in the playoffs. Let me ask you, Mark, does the 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 in the SEC and the Big Ten, winners in the playoff, loser has to sweat it out like Selection Sunday, does that interest you?
It interests me more than the conference championship game that means nothing now. And you know what my vote would be, to get rid of them all altogether. But that's never going to happen because there's just too much damn money in it for these conferences. The networks are literally writing them huge checks for these games. They're not giving up the money. We've said it for at least a decade that this is a cash grab. But before, it was a cash grab that was an elimination game. Now it's just a cash grab.
Now, last year, by the way, if the SEC had this 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, would have been fascinating because Texas was first place, Georgia was second, and Tennessee was third. And then there were 6 teams tied at 5 and 3. Well, okay, we only have room for 3 of them. How do we determine who's 4, 5, and 6? Do we go by college football playoff committee ranking and do it that way? Or does the SEC come up with its own tiebreaker? But Missouri, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, and A&M were all 5 and 3 in conference. Hell, the Gators missed it by a game. For the record, last year in the Big Ten, it would have been very simple. Oregon and Indiana would have played in the Big Ten title game. Penn State, Ohio State, Illinois, Iowa.
All right, let me just back you up a little bit. So I want to make sure I'm clear, because if I'm not completely clear, I'm guessing there are people listening that are not completely clear. Is it, if they go to the 3, 6, 4, 5, do they eliminate the 1 versus 2 game completely?
It doesn't look like it because it's a cash grab. And quite frankly, the networks, Fox still, and last year CBS had it, they still want the game.
Okay, so there would be a 1 versus 2 game in Atlanta and Indianapolis.
Correct.
Where does it say anything about where the double, would they all be played the same? Would there be 3 games on Conference Championship Saturday in the SEC and 3 games in the Big Ten on Conference Championship Saturday?
It looks like it. Okay, but remember, it's got to be worked out with the respective networks. It's 3 networks in the Big Ten, and it's just ESPN, ABC for the SEC. But it looks like it would just take the day. So I'm curious whether or not people like the idea. I will say this. If I'm the Big 12 and the ACC, this is further reason for me to go to the wall for 3. For this reason, Mark, just last year in the Big 12, Arizona State and BYU, Iowa State and Colorado were all tied. Arizona State and was it Iowa State played for the conference title? But then BYU and Colorado, if in theory you're only guaranteed 3, it would have been a play-in game for BYU Colorado. They would have played each other. Winners in the playoff, losers not.
Yeah, if I understand where you are in going to the wall, if you're the ACC and the Big 12, I'll stare you down if I'm Pqt and Sankey. Because and I'm being serious when I say this, there's no way, if I'm the SEC and the Big 10, I'm ever signing off on giving 6 bids to those 2 conferences. No damn way. I'll take my ball and start my own league. I'd say, I'd bring it on, guys.
Okay. And I would just look right at you and go, I get where you're coming from. I do. Here's a reason why I disagree with you more today than I did yesterday before you were proposing this. So what you're saying is we're not entitled to a 3rd team, yet you get to do 2 play-in games, and you still have spots available for the losers of your play-in games. So you want a whole regular season, then you want to play in Saturday, and then you still want the committee, which favors your guys' teams over ours, to vote your 5th or 6th place team in over our 3rd place team.
Now, this would never happen, but you want a sexy play-in? Give me Big 10 5 every year against Big 12 3, and give me SEC 5 against ACC 3, and the winner gets in. Have them in Dayton, where all play-in games must be played, like the basketball tournament, and we're on to something.
Would it be on True TV? Is that where we're putting these
games? I think it's mandatory, David.
Obviously, it would never happen, but I like it. I'll say this, because here's the other thing. I'd look at Pqt and Sankey and go, guys, listen, you're coming up with just another cash grab. You've had enough bites and enough apples here. Okay, and to be honest with you, if you really want your 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5, okay, to be big deals, make it be winning you're in, losing you're out. Okay? That's a game with real meaning. Can't get any bigger than that. You want to get more money from the networks, you want real meaning. Okay? Now, here's the funny thing. You do the math. If we go to 16, okay, then if we go 4-4, 3-3,
group of 5,
and then we go group of 5, and if there's ever a year that Notre Dame doesn't qualify, there's somehow, some way still a spot available. But in theory,
that
we go
takes
4-4.
away you're losing, you're out. If you know what, that's the only thing.
Right. But I mean, you got to figure 9 out of 10 years Notre Dame's going to qualify for the playoffs since we're taking 16. I mean,
right?
9 and 3 Notre Dame might qualify.
David, think about what you're saying is that we're having all of these tournaments, we're having all of these play-in games, and oh, by the way, Notre Dame, you know what? You guys are just in. I don't see the 4 conferences, at the end of the day going, well, that works for us. We play all these extra games, and as long as Notre Dame wins 9, they're in.
And I think Notre Dame would look at the ACC and the Big 12 and go, you really think anybody gives a damn about your representative? They care about us. Okay? So suck it up and deal.
We're
not joining your conference. We're not joining your conference. And yeah, If we're 9-3 or better, we're probably in the playoff. And you know what? That'll help everybody, including you guys. Cash the checks.
So the college football playoff had their resolution yesterday for this coming year. They're a long way apart on how they're going to structure a 16-team playoff. And the Big Ten and SEC have dug their heels in on one side, and the Big 12 and the ACC are digging their heels in on the other. And this will be the ultimate test to me for the ACC and the Big 12. Because you're right, David, they need to keep playing poker. They need to try to keep their conferences at the forefront. I don't know if the Big Ten and SEC will let them.
Well, their only other alternative is to literally take their ball and leave. And Mark, yes, they could do it. And the networks would go with them. It's a lot of work. It's a big risk. Okay? They really don't want to leave the structure of what they have. I don't think so. I don't think they're prepared to leave it yet. If I were the Big 12 and the ACC, I would stare down Sankey and Pqt. I really would. I'd be willing to die on this one because I'm pretty sure they're going to blink before me.
Boy, that's a hell of a game of poker, David. It really is. And you think
they need a unanimous vote. They need a unanimous vote to change the playoff structure the way they want to change it. This ain't 75, 80%. It's got to be unanimous.
Well, and to me, there's no reason why any other conference not named the Big Ten and the SEC would vote for this. This is the part I don't get, David. Why would Group of Five schools vote in favor of the Big Ten and SEC's proposal? We know the Big 12 and ACC shouldn't. They seem to have the numbers, but why do I still think they're going to lose? I mean, that's
the poker game, and that's also the game that's being negotiated within the Big Ten and the SEC. They're trying to figure out, is our conference championship game going to become the Pro Bowl? And do we need to put something spicy around it?
Miller and Moulton. Pqt Kirwan to talk the National Football League. Coming up on the other side, we'll continue this college football discussion with Bill Bender in about 35 minutes. Miller and Moulton. American Paint is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mark,
Good morning, Pat.
can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Oh, good. It was a weird when I was turning this stuff on this morning. It was different than ever before.
Actually, you sound a little better than normal. This is about as clear as you've ever sounded.
Well, I have Verizon Fios in my house, and I'm in my Jersey house where I can see there's like 5 bars on the thing. So yeah, it's just better.
So are you going to be coming back for the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we need a win tonight or tomorrow. It'll take care of itself. But I've flown back every year.
That's what I thought.
Yep. And I got plenty to do back at the house.
So what's tonight, tomorrow, 4 or 5?
If they win tonight, it guarantees they're coming back.
Well, right, but they need one of them to
Right.
come back. So yeah.
I watched the game the other night.
Them like 150 to what is it? 150 to 40 in 3 games, something like that.
They finally got to the goalie a little bit, but they were losing 2-1.
Right.
And they lucked out on the 2-2 goal, but the 3-2 was a beautiful shot. But it is fine. I like it. Those Quebec fans are something else.
I think it's like 103 to 49 shots on goal through 3 games. Something like that.
Yeah.
When would 6 be?
So they're going to play Saturday night.
Right.
They already told. I think it's Tuesday.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they sent out an email yesterday.
They sent an email out, and I thought it was Tuesday.
They put 6 and 7 on sale.
Bum, 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 bum. Well, I was listening to your college conversation. I'm going to spend next Sunday, one day with Bill O'Brien. I'll get his take on everything.
Well, and they came out yesterday. The point I made with you, they came out yesterday and basically said we're going to have to do the playoff on Army Navy weekend because of the NFL.
Yeah, you said it. Bye Army Navy noontime. I can't get involved in your conversation because I don't know it all, but I'm tickled to death that conference champs aren't automatic first and a bye. That's a joke.
Looking back, it was not the right look.
No,
but
terrible.
it's not it's not the right look when a 9-8 team's hosting a 13-4 team either.
No, that's why Roger wants to change that.
All it'll take is one of the divisions to have a 9-8 again this year, and I think there'll be a lot more momentum for it.
Yeah, Dan Quinn brought it up this week, and he loves reminding the world that they were 7-9 when they beat the Saints.
Yep, who were the defending Super Bowl champions. That was the Marshawn Lynch run.
Yeah, he had a name for it too. I forgot his nickname for Marshawn's performance that day. that was still the greatest run I think I've ever seen. It was like it should have been over like 5 times.
Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Friday, halfway home in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show. Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas. Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. A happy Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you have Monday off, and hopefully you'll take a moment to honor why it is a holiday weekend. Pqt Kirwan joins us at this day and time, probably until we get to June and July. Then we'll do it weekly, and, there's less to talk about. Give Pat a little bit more freedom. Pat, part of NFL Radio, moving the chains, weekdays 3 to 7. He joins us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Hey, Pat.
Good morning, fellas. And it was very interesting listening to your conversation about college football and where they have to go. As long as they take away the automatic first round bye to conference champs, I watch the games for football player reasons, but I go, what are we doing here? We're rewarding the wrong guys. And so hopefully that's cleared up. But the rest of it, 16. I said this to you guys last year, there weren't 12 teams worthy of the playoffs. So why would we go to 16?
Because of money, Pat. Why do we
why.
always do things?
Oh, I know why. I just want to hear you say it. And that's a sad reason.
We always were 6. I was always a 16 playoff. I thought 6 was the number. 2 buys, 4 teams in. You put the conference champs in. You've got a couple of at large. But, they want how they can make the most money, and that's the way the game goes.
Yeah. I hope the players are healthy enough to go to pro football after that and get on with their lives.
Question, by the way, how far away do you think the NFL is from turning 7 playoff teams into 8 and eliminating the bye entirely? Because that would mean 2 extra playoff games, and you know what playoff games equals? Money. Those games will go for 9 figures. Pretty soon, the first digit may be crooked just for the individual games. I mean, those 2 extra playoff games could garner $400 extra million bucks, 10, 12 million per team. Pat, how far away do you think the NFL is from turning 7 into 8?
As soon as I think we get to 18 games, not that it actually relates to that, but I think at that point they'll do something like that. You still have to get rid of the concept of rewarding the best record with a bye, which they do like. And I don't know that I think it's worthy of a bye. I'm for 8. And I think when they get to more games, they'll do something like that.
Pat, I'm guessing you have a story or two, and it's probably something I should have asked prior, but the passing of Jim Irsay. As someone who covers the sport, Jim Irsay was kind of an unusual owner. He had a great love of music. Obviously we know he had his demons, but when you see the number of players who have come to say the things they've said about Jim Irsay, it seems like those of us, whether, the media, the public, whatever, didn't really know the whole guy. Obviously, all the owners' meetings you've been to over the years, all your interaction with these folks, I'm guessing you've got a Jim Irsay story or two.
Yeah, Jim was quirky to say the least. So yesterday I talked to Bruce Arians about it, and I talked to Dwight Freeney about it. Dwight was pretty funny. He just said, we all realized he was different, but we all thought he cared a lot about us. And that was important to us. And so I got into the music part, Mark, to your point about the music. I said to Dwight, were you ever subjected to having to listen to him? He said, no, but he used to send me his tapes all the time. And we had a good laugh together about that. And he said he thought I would love the tapes of him playing. So that's a little bit about him. My relationship to him in meetings, especially in the media part, because he'd sit down with us. He was so bent over later in his life here that he was basically keeled over. Looks like he was trying to touch his toes. That's how bent over he was. And it was painful to look at, but he wouldn't miss a meeting. And he was actively involved in every controversial subject. But I saw how much pain he was in. Matt Ryan, who played for them for a year, had his own take. He said, when you're not there the whole time, you don't realize you come in from the outside and you have preconceived notions. And he said he was a very interesting guy. Like he said a lot of times, and Bruce Arians backed this up, he kind of saw himself privately as a coach. He thought of himself as a guy that had enough football knowledge, if you will, to talk football. And a lot of owners don't do that. They're smart enough not to. Jerry does, but he wouldn't do it in public, but he'd do it with his guys. I think when I said to Matt, what was the first impression you had of him? Matt goes, I walked into the weight room and there was a life-size photo of him behind the squat rack squatting. And it was kind of like, if I can do this, so can you. And he made a comment not too long ago before he passed away that I've never asked a guy to do anything I couldn't do. And I guess people felt like, well, that's admirable. But I think he was talking about lifting, because there were photos of him all around the weight room lifting at each station. So Matt walked in and said, I was overwhelmed by the man. And, he was in the middle of a heavy weight, and it looked like it was really painful for him, which led me to the back injuries he had. So, yeah, he had his demons. He was interesting, though, and everyone likes to talk about the Snyder stuff with him. I thought Bruce Arians, think about Bruce was there 2 different times, but he ended up taking over when the head coach had cancer, which really led to Bruce's career. Bruce was a guy who was never getting an interview, never getting a job. His leadership, with the support of Jim, to take that team and do what he did with it, led to his head coaching job in Arizona, which led to Tampa Bay, which led to a different world for him. And he always admires and thanks Jim for it. He did confirm, though, that Jim did like to talk about coaching football. And I think that's why. And I said, well, he had a relationship with about 15 quarterbacks. And I always wanted to ask Jim, last thing, but I never did, how he felt watching Peyton win a Super Bowl not in a Colt uniform.
Well, it's funny you go there, because I have to admit, I'm wondering, Peyton's reaction to Jim Irsay's death was almost boilerplate. He threw in one sentence in the release, which got somewhat personal. To me, Pat, it's pretty clear that Peyton is still pretty honked off at the Colts organization for releasing him.
He shouldn't be. I remember when he was in Denver, I sat down with him as soon as the plane landed for the Super Bowl, and I said, you got farther than Joe Montana got when he went to Kansas City.
Right.
And I think you should be grateful for the journey you're on. And he said, I am. But he wasn't exactly appreciative of me talking to him about that. And he wanted to get onto something else like the game. But I just wanted to put that thought in his head. Montana left with football talent left and got to Kansas City and didn't get to that. You went to a place and it worked out for you. So count your blessings and move on.
I wonder if Irsay's passing, sorry, Mark, I wonder if his passing actually will kind of, because folks in Indianapolis have,
No, there was both sides of the fence on him.
Yeah, he doesn't live there anymore. He doesn't show up very often anymore. Denver's his home. He's courtside at Nuggets games. He's at Avs games. The people in Indianapolis they've noticed that Peyton doesn't seem to want anything to do with them anymore.
Well, it's a small town, really. I never looked at Indianapolis. So you're either visible all the time or you're not visible at all. So there's no place to go if you're in town that they can't recognize you and see you. So I get it.
And no one really picks Indianapolis as a town to retire in. Just for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, it's a town to have conventions in. That's right. It's convention central. They're built for one thing. Truck driver. Every year when I'm there, there's the truckers are coming in next with all the new trucks, and it's an amazing how many maybe 100,000 people come in there, and they can handle it. But onward and upward. Now it's really down to will the daughter. She had a little warm-up drill, right, when he was suspended. She learned that she had to sit in there anyway, but what is she going to do? How is she going to react to this football team? Where's the quarterback situation going? It's, she might have her hands full with this. We'll see.
And how much does she and her two sisters want it? Is that a franchise that ends up being for sale in the next 4 or 5 years, or even sooner than that? Because obviously you're talking billions of dollars to buy an NFL franchise, and she may not have the passion that her father did.
Yeah, there are some wives and daughters that have taken over teams. I hope she has a relationship with some of them so she can anticipate what the journey is going to be like. Because I don't care if you've never been in a seat, which she hasn't really, then you're going to have to anticipate and find out how you're going to prepare for stuff. And she might find it something she doesn't want to do, but I don't know if they're at that point yet. But there are 3 daughters, and I think it lined up right from the oldest down in charge.
Yeah, the oldest was groomed. She actually took, remember, Jim, 15 battles. He went to rehab 15 times. And when he went a few years ago and he wasn't in control of the team for, I think, 4 to 6 months, she was officially in control of the team. One of the 3 apparently has been intimately involved in the football operations. The middle one, I think, handled marketing, and the youngest one handled all his philanthropic works, of which he was very giving. So the oldest apparently was being groomed for this day.
Yeah. Before we leave that, here's my thought. I think the daughters should, in some way, shape, or form, employ Bill Polian to just help guide them. I think Bill has a big sense of what the league's all about and everything else. And I think it'd be good if he was on speed dial for him, just so they could converse with him regularly. He still has a lot of passion for that.
Tony Dungy still lives in Indianapolis. I think he's got a place still in Tampa, but I see Tony flying Sunday mornings out of Indianapolis to New York for his NBC work all the time. I know Tony still lives in Indianapolis. I wonder if they would tap him on the shoulder in some way.
Well, one of those two, a guiding light, if you will, help them through this. Because they're going to have some objectivity about the general manager, sooner or later the coach. There's going to be things that they're going to have to be thinking about.
Yeah, like who's going to quarterback that team for the rest of this decade, because I don't think they have one on their roster now. Mm-hmm. He's Pqt Kirwan. He joins us twice a week, courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers with locations from Tampa to Key West. Pinchers, where you cannot fake fresh. All of our guests appear courtesy of the American Paint Supply Hotline. American Paint Supply is your one-stop for all your coating needs. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Bum bum ba-dum bum. Did either one of you fellas have a chance just by luck to hear Dennis Miller on the show the other day?
No.
Oh my God, was he funny?
When did you have Dennis Miller on?
He calls in on his own. He listens to our show every day, and if we're on to a hot topic that it excites him, he calls and says, "Dennis here, I got to get on this point." And he called in because Jim Miller was saying that it would be an honor to leave his team if he was a starting quarterback to be the quarterback of the Olympic team. And I am totally opposed to it. But Dennis came in and supported me and ripped Jeb. He goes, "You try to tell me an Olympic gold medal," I wrote it down, "an Olympic gold medal in a sport we just invented, not named football, is more important than the Lombardi Trophy."
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I like Dennis. He's got a lot of free time. He's always for chatting with us. Oh.
I'm going to ask you about it when we come back, but I know you did Seth's show. I got a really nice email from one of our listeners that really enjoyed your Sports with Friends podcast with Seth.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We had lots of fun conversations before we went on and then when we did it. But
well, Seth was ecstatic about it when we had him on Wednesday. He thought it was great.
Well, it's you guys that hooked me up with him.
Yep.
So thanks for that.
Oh, that's easy.
I said, if you need me again sometime in the middle of the season or whatever, just let me know. So,
hey, Pat, have you made it to that Sugar Shack yet in Bonita?
Yes.
You have? Okay.
My brother Jim goes there. Where they have the music and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's down there. He goes down in October. And by the time I got there, it was early December. He said, "You got to come with us," because they started going every Sunday night. They liked the band that played. And so we went. We had a great time. It was mobbed.
Yeah, I've heard it's great. I've not been. I've heard nothing but good things. And I know how much you like your live music. That's why.
I do love it. And I would say there's two places there right next to each other now.
Right. The rooftop
one's like the tree house or something like that. But I would say between the two of them on a Sunday night at about 8:00, there were 500 to 800 people between the two of them. The bar in the Sugar Shack, the bar looks big enough to hold about 65, 70 people. Yep. Enjoyed it. Liked the music. A lot of reggae stuff going on. Oh, and that's the other thing. Jimmy knew one of the guys in the band. So,
okay.
And the guy came over on their break and said it was fun shooting a breeze in him. It's interesting where that is, Mark. It's really right on the edge of town. Town is changing in Bonita.
It's for the better.
It's very impressive what's going on down there.
I used to when I got divorced the first time, I lived pretty close to where all that is. They call it the States. There's all this. I lived on Carolina Street.
That's where Minshew lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I could have walked there before, but Bonita wasn't nearly that nice downtown then, because there's a bar called, oh gosh, Chartreuse, I believe is the name of it. It's going more towards downtown. It's tiny, and it's just liquor, beer and liquor. They make all kinds of drinks from like Prohibition days. It's got a cool design, but they won't let you in unless there's a seat. There's no standing room. Like there'll be a line. If a table leaves, then they let you in, and it's great because you've always got somewhere to sit.
Nice.
Another good little place.
When I lived on Wiggins, I used to go to the Buffalo place a lot.
Okay. Yep. That's an interesting crowd.
Yeah.
Talk about all kinds in there.
Yep. It's what I'd call old Florida that never left.
Yep.
Right.
I
You
took
don't
in
know
one
if you're
Bills-
sitting next to a guy worth $1 million or a guy that's going to deal you drugs. I mean, that was a wild place.
Yes, it was. And the motel next to it apparently was the wildest of it all.
Uh-huh.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. We'll talk college football with Bill Bender of the Sporting News coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Pat and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. So, surprise, surprise. Last time we talked, we thought certain votes at the owners' meetings would go a certain way. They didn't. Is there a fallout? Did Raj get snookered here? Did people change their minds? What have you heard?
Well, Detroit backed off their proposal. That's the first one. So who told them to do that? To me, that's the league office going, we already surveyed. We don't have enough votes to get this through. So back out. They don't like to fail on things like that. I think the owners were kind of pressured into saying, and I don't think they've thought it through, about allowing one player per team. Now, we're going to have great fun with this because let's say everyone does send a guy, 32 guys. They're only going to keep 12 of them. So they're going to have 20 cuts. We're going to call them cuts, the three of us. Look who got cut from the flag football team. And it's, I think that's interesting unto itself. I'm not a big fan of sending NFL players. We talked about it before. We don't need to talk about it again. The tush push, you got 22 guys who voted to get rid of it. That thing will surface again next year. And they're going to now collect. When they say there's no data about injuries, that's just not true. There are people that have been hurt. And those 22 guys that don't want it, they are going to make sure that every little injury is recorded from that. And they're going to try to build their case to get just 2 more votes and get rid of it. But for now, it's in. And now they're selling T-shirts in Philly.
Well, it was interesting that Jason Kelce talked about how much pressure it put on him, but it sounded like Jason Kelce helped make sure it stayed in the league.
Well, he's an Eagle. You think he could walk down the streets of Philadelphia if he was the reason for it to be canceled? He knows. I hope he told everyone what he yelled out every time he snapped the ball right before he snapped it. Not allowed to be said on radio, but he said it every time. So call the Giants. They had 2 guys got hurt in the play.
Well, Kelsey's actually been on record as saying that he hated the play. Okay.
Yeah,
He said, I'm pretty sure he said that when we interviewed him on Monday Night Football when he had just retired. He hated the play, but they were effective at it, and they knew they had to keep running it. But Pat, he made a business decision. You're right. I mean, that would be the politician upsetting his base right there. He's got to take care of Philly first. I know he's bigger than that now, but you can't blow up your base like that.
Especially if your base is Philly, they'll find you. And they won't ever forgive you. I think Mark knows enough about places like Philly. That's a cult there.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Pat, I did want to ask you because I know I reposted it. Our friend Seth Everett, who comes on the show every week, had you on Sports with Friends. He was very happy to interview you and told a lot of great stories. So I hope you had a good experience with Seth and hope people can check out Sports with Friends. It sounded like you enlightened him with a few stories of your past, Pat.
Well, he was terrific, and I love the format he had. It's kind of like this show. The reason I love this show is that we get into subjects that are interesting, and it's not like other stuff. So Seth's was terrific, and we had a good time. I said if he needed me again, I'd love to do it. So if your people appreciate that stuff, good. But you probably heard half the things I told him. We've been together for 20 years?
Yeah, thereabouts.
We're kind of out of new material at 20 years.
Hey, listen, we've been pretty open on this show, the 2 of us, and I don't know your feelings on it. We don't care about a person's politics. Okay. We know if we agree or disagree with them, but we accept athletes and singers and entertainers for what they give us, which is acting, singing, or, playing sports. Do you like Aaron Rodgers just went on Joe Rogan here recently? He didn't hold back. His politics are not necessarily Pittsburgh's politics. Now, Pittsburgh's not as blue as it used to be, but it still is blue over red. I'm just curious, is that going to matter at all? And if you think this marriage is happening, do you think he's still going to go on, McAfee and Rogan?
Well, I think they know what they're getting if he comes, and he is going to come. And I think they have to. They're a different group themselves now, and so they box themselves into this. There's no other place to turn, and I think they know that Mason should not be the starter. And they are, and I was told I could not talk about it, but they are very aware of really why he's not there yet, and they made me aware of it. So I know what it is. And I said to people that like to rip on him, I go, look, I used to rip on him too. Once I was told what he was really doing, I decided to keep my mouth shut and be just hoping that he gets here, that he comes to the point where he thinks he can play. But he's got some important stuff he's taken care of. And I think it'll all come out when he finally decides to play again. And then people will understand why he wasn't here.
I think it will need to come out because the sense I'm getting, the fact that, obviously I'm married into a Pittsburgh family, but when my wife last week came home and went, what the hell's going on with Aaron Rodgers? When's he going to decide? I was floored because she's never mentioned it once. And it just seems that the Pittsburgh fans, I don't know about getting annoyed, but they're like, come on already. Can we get our answer?
Well, it started when they felt like, how could he not want to be here? And they made the same conclusion I made, that he was maybe not that interested in Pittsburgh, but I think he's going to be fine. The politics part, David, I think the one thing that town is, and I think I see this all the time, they're red, they're blue. There's a lot of stuff there, but they all just want to win football games. So their unifying factor is Steeler football.
Yeah, the black and gold trumps the red and blue in that town every single day.
Yes, and it will again if he's real ready, willing, and able to be here, and I think he will be. Just give him a little more time. So one of our great guys, Scoops guys in this league, called me yesterday saying, I heard you say just what I just said did your show, and you got to tell me. I said, I can't. It was part of what they told me. And I said, I think they just wanted me to understand if you don't have all the facts, don't rip them. And I think we'll all be very understanding of him when he finally shows up, which won't be far now. It'll be close. I think it'll be fun for him. You talk about learning a different culture. You guys, especially Mark on this one, because you've got that Pittsburgh half of blood in your veins. He's going to find it quite refreshing, I think, to be in front of that crowd, to practice the way they practice. I hope he found out that there's no red jerseys for the quarterbacks at practice. Wait till he sees what that's all about.
Well, you have to figure, and I know we got like a minute or so left, you got to figure he'll love training camp because that's probably Green Bay is a community. Well, the Steelers are one of the last teams to do the old style training camps, at the school and he's surrounded by the fans and the people. I mean, it will probably feel like Green Bay to him.
It will. And I think what's going to make it even better, and St. Joe's, the college, is a small place, and Friday night under the lights at the high school. But I think what he's going to appreciate most is Mike Tomlin. I think Mike's been around a long time now. Mike knows how to pull out a winning season year after year. And I think he's going to like, because some of his problems, this is to you, David, some of Rodgers' biggest problems have been confrontation with head coaches and coordinators. I think this is a guy that's going to be different with him. They're going to have an adult relationship, and he's going to have Mike Tomlin's support in a way that I don't think he's ever had with a coach.
I think the other side of it, he's also going to have the tough love, if you will, from Tomlin that he may have not had from any other coaches, who's not going to let him bring in all his players, not going to let him change the offense completely to what he wants, and he's going to have to be held accountable. And players like to be held accountable at the end of the day. They really do.
I think you're 100% right, and I think it's going to be good for Smith too. This because Rodgers will open his eyes to the passing game differently than he's been exposed to it before.
Pat, have a great holiday weekend. Thanks for your time.
We'll be on Monday, 10 to 2. Call in. Dave from Jacksonville, Mark from, well, I'm not going to identify where you live.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know what's funny, Johnny Mac? You may be right, but they'll still beat the Ravens once. Just saying. You know, not specifically. I remember some great vendors there, but no, I don't remember that. Hell, I was just enlightened yesterday by my son, reminded me of a walk-off game that we saw when he was like 7, 8 years old, and took him, and my buddy and I took our sons to a game, and there was a walk-off in the 11th. And I'm like, wow, you're right. I've forgotten all about that. Yep, I do. The stick for mustard was the best. It was like a beer cup or a soda cup full of mustard and a popsicle stick, and that's all they had. And it's funny, when I was little going with my dad, I still put ketchup and mustard on hot dogs. Not at a Tigers game. You had it with mustard only. That's the way it's the only way you could do it. Trent sent me a video of the Tigers play-by-play game talking about how terrible it is to put ketchup on a hot dog. I laughed. So I'll probably bring it up if I remember, David, at 9:21. Did you see the box score from yesterday's MAC tournament baseball game?
Mm-mm.
So the game was in Ohio, and it was maybe where Kent State is. I don't know, because I don't know. Someone help me. Avon, Ohio. I do not know where Avon, Ohio is. But they were supposed to play Wednesday night. Bowling Green and Toledo. Rain pushed the start back to, I got to get the guest. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question's a simple one heading into the holiday weekend. Do you think it's a hamburger weekend on the grill or a hot dog weekend on the grill? Our audience is telling us Memorial Day is more hamburger. 4th of July is more hot dog. Okay. Love it when the audience breaks down a poll question more than the people responsible for the poll question. We really appreciate that. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Bill Bender, kind enough to join us once again. He covers college sports for a living for the Sporting News. You can follow Bill on X, Bill Bender 92, Bill Bender 92. Bill, David, and Mark, good morning. How you been?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. And that pool analysis is accurate to me.
So hamburgers for Memorial Day, hot dogs for 4th of July. That's the camp you're in.
I can do either or both, but I mean, I think in general that's how I would put it as well.
I love if you're part of sports and sports radio and write about it and what have you. You're used to breaking things down, so we just we stay analytical with our poll questions. Do you think the Big Ten and the SEC are serious about this play-in final conference championship game weekend idea? 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. Do you think this is more serious than trial balloon?
I think trial balloon because I don't love it. With the good news yesterday is that we're going to seed these teams properly. That's okay. Phase 1, we got that part correct. You should do it that way. You should seed them 1 through 12 and 1 through 14 or 1 through 16, whatever we go through next. I don't think you should seek out avenues to confuse people more, right? Like simplify it and not with formats that confuse people. And that seems confusing when I read it the first time, much like the plans or the proposed plans to go to 16, but have some play-in games first. So I would go 16 teams and play the playoff 1-16 like an NCAA bracket without a play-in game, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. It's exactly how I would do it.
I'm with you. I don't like the idea of the play-in games, but the problem, Bill, is these conference championship games are such a huge money grab for the conferences. I think we all agree with where we are in college football. The conference championship game in the Big Ten and the SEC could go away, but it's not going to go away because they make too much money off of it.
Right. That's really, you just hit what we have to fix. It's not the competitive part or it doesn't make sense to have them in the current format because I think I told you guys that even last year. So I'm sitting there conference championship weekend and, Texas, Georgia was a great game, but I wasn't as invested in it as I should have been because I was like, both of these teams are playing in the playoffs. Same with Penn State, Oregon. While that game was going on, I was probably paying much more attention to SMU and Clemson, and those both teams actually ended up getting in. But you get what I'm saying. I want those games to mean something, and I get that they mean a conference championship. But in terms of the playoff, you got a bye week that game anyway, Oregon, Georgia, for example. So I would scrap them, but we do have to find a way to recover that money. The best guess for me is 16 teams, 2 playoff rounds, keep them on campus, and you get money that way.
Bill Bender, Sporting News. Bill Bender 92 is how you follow him on X. All right. We all know this is a game of poker. Pqt and Sankey want what they want. The ACC and the Big 12 say, I know you want to give us 2. We're insisting on 3. Let's just say both sides try to, do a death stare. Who do we think would blink first?
Between Sankey and who?
Between the Big
Sankey
Ten and
and
the
Pqt on
SEC.
one side.
Oh,
yeah, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pqt. Okay, I think they're going to try to continue to work together. I don't know that we should that's my other one. I don't like this idea of each conference getting a set number of automatic bids. And I'll tell you why. Is just look at the NCAA tournament last year. The SEC had a year where they had a record-setting number of teams, and they backed it up. Now they got teams in the Sweet 16. They had 2 in the Final Four, and they got a national champion. There might be another year where there's only 3 or 4 SEC teams that should be in the NCAA tournament. And that's why I don't – and I can accept that as a Big Ten guy. I mean, there are years where there's only 2 or 3 that are truly worthy, and there are years where maybe you could get 6. So I hope we don't do that. I just 16 teams, take the top 16 teams in the rankings. And some years it's going to look different, and that's okay. Some years the SEC is not going to get 5. This notion of guaranteed teams in the playoff, I think it's a dangerous game because it could water down the field, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I would like to just see them put 1 through 16 in. But, Bill, when these conferences are already saying we need 4 each and the ACC's coming back, well, we have to have 3, a compromise doesn't seem like we're just going to put the best 16 in. And without someone leading college football, these are the power struggles we're going to continue to have, right?
Right. And you bring up a good point because when that news broke yesterday, suggested to me, it's not like fact, but like somebody asked me, is like, do you think the ACC and Big 12 agreed to that knowing they're going to be taken care of later? I've watched enough of The Sopranos to know how some deals work. You know what I mean? So, or don't work in that show's case. But are they going to get their guaranteed bids later? Because we did have this prolonged debate last season about SMU and Alabama, even into the weekend when SMU was getting beat up by Penn State. People were on Twitter saying, Ole Miss should be in that spot. Alabama should be in that spot. So maybe they, from their vantage point, they're going to want a couple protected bids. But again, I'd rather, for me, I'd rather have the 16 best teams in there.
Do you think big time college, we all know the fights in the courts that they're having now and that they're probably going to have for another 10 years, because at least the two guys on this show don't think that the solutions that they want in the short term are going to survive court challenges and last into the 2030s. But just in terms of the product on the field, we have not sensed from our audience that they've stopped watching, they've stopped caring. They're annoyed about things that are going on, but they haven't turned away the way they turn away from the NBA at times, the way for a year they turned away from the NFL. Curious, are you sensing that the college sports fan is able to deal with this and not get turned off?
We'll see. I mean, last year, I think college football needs to do some things to, customer service, so to speak. And, the way we've watched the game has changed, and I knew that was coming. The prime example I can give you guys is somebody that grew up in Central Ohio is there was never a point in time where I could say out loud, hey, Ohio State lost to Michigan and turned around and won a national title. Not in a million years did I ever think I was going to say that. I watched it happen last year. And what means more? They still ask that question around here, by the way. Is it more important to beat Michigan or win a national title? I know what the answer should be, but this is one of those places where it's not always that easy, trust me. But to answer your question, yeah, I think we need to do things to better serve the customer. Do the traditional college football fans like NIL, the transfer portal, completely revamped rosters, super conferences? I don't know that they do. And I think if you ask a certain number of people, I could ask you guys, if you could go back and look at the conferences in 1994 versus now, which one would you rather watch? Now, all that said, I don't think we're turning off the TV yet. And I just think one of the things college football needs to do is start the season a little bit earlier and end it a little bit earlier, so they're not competing with the NFL playoffs, because that is one battle they're not going to win.
Well, and they already alluded to that with moving basically stepping on Army-Navy weekend for the playoff. And, that was a standalone game for a while. It's done really well. There are a lot of people like my co-host who like that game as much as any, if not more than any college football game that's played all year. And that's no longer going to be alone because they don't want to take on the NFL.
Yeah, and that's a tradition I love too. I make it a point to watch some of the Army-Navy game, but we almost had it happen last year with Army, where, what if Army's in the playoff? Can we? And so unfortunately, I think that's going to be another one of the traditions that probably gets moved around. Maybe gets moved to rivalry week. Maybe we make that the standalone open the season game. I don't know. You know what I mean? But the traditions continue to change, and I keep telling people. So this week, for example, USC Notre Dame. There's talk that might not get renewed, and some of my editors were acting stunned and surprised and shocked, and I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, of course. If you're USC, you're playing 9 Big Ten games now, and you're going to Columbus and Ann Arbor and Happy Valley. Why do you need to go to Notre Dame? If you look at it from that standpoint that has nothing to do with tradition, from a practicality standpoint, they don't need to play that game anymore. And that's horrible. And there's probably stronger words I could use, but that's the way this is going. That some of these traditions we're used to have been sacrificed because we're in this new era. And I think if we're going to do it that way, college football's best move is to perfect the postseason. Make the postseason compelling and perfect. That way we'll forget about some of the things we lost.
Well, and Bill, I would argue the bigger they make their postseason, the better chance we have of Michigan and Notre Dame playing again, of USC and Notre Dame continue to play one another. We all know the rivalries that have been lost here: Pitt, West Virginia, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I think if you can build in, hey, it's okay to lose more than one. You might even be able to lose more than 2 and secure a playoff spot at 9-3. In theory, we'd get a better product.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's one of those things where I think we want to have that. We want to have that compelling postseason product. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, well, your plan sounds like, why not just go to 32? Now, again, we're recognizing at that point that, hey, the regular season isn't what it used to be. And, you know, they are fun games. There was, I'm trying to go back to that Saturday last year. I was at the Iowa-Ohio State game, and Alabama loses to Vandy while I'm in the press box, and I get home, and Tennessee lost to Arkansas, and there was a couple other upsets that night, and I just remember my wife coming down and being like, I guess I'll see you Sunday at like 5 p.m. I was like, yeah, it was one of those Saturdays, and I still love that part of it, when you get the upsets like that. I mean, you can't say it didn't mean something for Vanderbilt. I can't remember how many years it was, but it had been like 60 years since they beat Alabama.
And also, we like the fact, at least in SEC country, that there was that fateful Saturday in November when certain teams lost and you knew they had cost themselves spots in the playoff. It's a fine line we're walking here. We want as many good games as possible, but we do want there to be a line in the sand where, okay, this team lost, they're out. And so, you know, it's a bit of a juggling act here. Bill, all the best to you, your family. Thanks for your time, not just today, but over the years. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll try to catch up, shortly before the season starts, if that's okay.
Anytime, and salute to all the veterans out there on Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Bill Bender, very good at what he does, and he's covered college sports with the Sporting News for over a quarter century. Follow him on X at Bill Bender 92. Bill Bender 92.
While he covers the whole sports, you Big Ten folks will love Bill Bender as a follow because he does a great job of covering that conference as well. As he mentioned, he's based out of Ohio.
And I think Columbus is where he's now calls home. So it is an interesting poll question in and around Columbus, Ohio. Beat Michigan or win the Natty.
I love the fact they're still struggling with it after winning the Natty. I mean, it is amazing to me. But it is, whether you want to say one of the most passionate or one of the most obnoxious fan bases, I think both are true. The Buckeye fan base it's one of one in the Big Ten. SEC fan just says, yeah, we're all like that down here. Miller and Moulton. The bonus hour is next. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid, makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, Feeney, there will not. Because they run Dan Patrick on that station, and the Dan Patrick show starts at 9. So in the hell are we playing so late for on a Wednesday? It's summer, for God's sake. What the?
I saw a rat, Johnny Mac. I saw a rat. Feeney, I don't think so, because the station is a Fox station and they go straight to Dan Patrick.
That's what I just said.
Gotcha. Hell, Miller and Moulton wish we didn't do the bonus hour. Excuse me. if you need the chair, is nice. One of the few things.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, final hour of the week in the 239 and the 904. Thanks so much for being with us as we head into Memorial Day weekend. We'll be off on Monday. We will have a best of show, which, I've been told some of the segments in it, not bad. And, might be false advertising, call it the best of, but, pretty good of, good of.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't. Worth your time of, Anyway, it's what we got going Monday. Our poll
Fair
question is this a hamburger weekend or a hot dog weekend? You've told us it's a hamburger weekend, and 4th of July holiday is the hot dog weekend, but vote accordingly. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller _Moulton on X.
We spent the last hour talking football, first the NFL with Pqt Kirwan for a couple of segments, and then Bill Bender to talk college football. But we began the show with the master class that the Florida Panthers put on last night. The Florida Panthers dominated the Carolina Hurricanes in every single way. The Carolina Hurricane captain after the game called it an ass whooping. That was his description of what happened to his team last night as Florida shut out Carolina 5-spit, taking a commanding 2-0 lead in the series. And it's not surprising, but it is interesting in that the Florida Panthers are the defending Stanley Cup champions. If this were any other North American sport, the accolades they would be receiving right now for their performance would be of, are they a dynasty? How do you stop this team? Look what General Manager Bill Zito has done with the Florida Panthers and the moves he's made and how locked in, for the most part, they are for the rest of the decade. But we spent the last series where the network, all they could talk about were the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now they're at a quandary because they've got to talk about the Florida Panthers, and they don't really want to because Florida doesn't move the needle. Part of that blame, I think, is on the media for not going all in with the Panthers and instead going all in with the Leafs.
Well, Panther fans agree with you. Panther fans in social media have been very annoyed, particularly with the Turner coverage of them in the playoffs. Hated the pro-Leafs bias that they sensed. The media covering the team sensed it as well. I don't think it's a pro-Canes, broadcasting from Turner these last 2 days. I don't think they're pro-Canes.
No, I don't think they're pro-Canes either. I'm just saying, if this were, when the Chiefs are trying to go back-to-back, it's all Chiefs all the time. If the Celtics were trying to go back-to-back, it would be all Celtics all the time. And I don't believe that it's pro-Canes, but it's not pro-Florida Panthers either. And it is interesting on TNT right now what you have, because you have Bissonnette, who was obviously in the tank for the Leafs. We get it. Wearing the jacket, wearing the tie, kind of funny. But then you have their basketball coverage. Reggie Miller pointing at Halliburton after he makes after the game, and Halliburton gave him the choke sign, and people are talking about that. When Stephen A. Smith, who should rightfully get bashed for his homer approach to the Knicks, gets completely destroyed, and we've left the TNT guys alone for their rooting for their teams. I do find it interesting that one gets crushed for it, the other two are left completely alone.
Now, listen, I think I've watched every second of the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Were the Leafs being talked about more than the Panthers? Absolutely. I have to admit, though, Mark, I have felt, and part of what I also think is going on here is this may be the flaw of the NHL's playoff coverage. Like, at least with the conference finals in the NBA, one network gets it. So the ESPN crew can get all into Oklahoma City, Minnesota. Okay. The TNT crew can get all into the East. Okay. Up until the conference finals in hockey, they were switching back and forth. Turner could do games 1 and 2. ESPN could do 3 and 4. Okay. And vice versa. And I don't think that works personally. First of all, I think it'd be a better broadcast. Everybody associated with the broadcast for 2 weeks, they're engrossed in these two teams and all the storylines with them, as opposed to, helicoptering in, doing the best we can, leaving. Oh, now we're headed to Winnipeg for Dallas and Winnipeg. That could be a me thing, but I think it would lead to better coverage. I think it would lead to more all in from the announcers. Also, I think the announcers would get more emotionally connected with the series they were doing if they did the entire series.
I agree with everything you said. I think you're right. But it doesn't change the pre, post, and intermissions.
Agreed.
These are people on both networks who are supposed to, by their job title, David, know the league, the whole league, not just one series. And if you're watching, if you watched Oklahoma City and the T-Wolves last night, when they're at halftime, they're talking about the Knicks and Pacers as well. So it's, to me, the coverage in and around the games. Your point on the games is spot on.
What is surprising me the most is everybody who's obviously broadcasting is not a current player. The Florida Panthers are more a team of the 2000s and the 1990s and even the late 80s than they are a team of the 2010s and 2020s, in my opinion. The whole league has gone to speed and skating, speed and skating, speed and skating. Yeah, the Panthers can skate. They ain't the fastest team in the league. They ain't close to the fastest team in the league. I could even argue they're the slowest team left in the playoffs. But you know what they do? They know how to forecheck. Okay? They know how to dump the puck in. Okay? And they win battles along the boards. They hit more than any other team in the league. I mean, the Panthers play a style that the broadcasters covering the game played growing up, played when they were in the NHL in some cases. And that's the part, to me, Mark, that I don't understand. I don't understand why the current media isn't falling all over themselves about the Florida Panthers. For as great as the Lightning run was, okay, and maybe it's over, maybe it's not, okay, and the Lightning, tremendously skilled, and they could win battles and the whole deal. They weren't as physical as the Panthers. They weren't as edgy as the Panthers, okay? The Lightning had more speed in the 2021-22 than the Panthers do now. As much skill, but they had more speed. Okay, by the way, how about that series? If we could get like 2021 Tampa to play 2025 Florida. Holy mackerel. Okay, but that's the part that surprises me, Mark. I don't understand why they're not falling all over themselves about how could Mark Messier not watch the Florida Panthers and go, oh my God, this is Edmonton in 1990. This is my Rangers team. This is how I played. This is awesome.
And what I find interesting is that in the Four Nations, Matthew Tkachuk was a hero for the style in which he played. Now people are against the style that he's playing because he's with the Florida Panthers. And someone needs to explain to me in this series when the Florida Panthers have played dirty. Because last night, Aho's hit on Reinhardt was a dirty hit. I don't give a damn what you say. When you're swinging your hip at a guy's leg at the blue line, that's crossing the line more than anything the Panthers have done in this series. And the Panthers have the Carolina Hurricanes so damn frustrated that they're punching Panthers in the back of the head and taking penalties. They're getting goaded into penalties because they can't play the physical style. And when you get beat in the physical style, you resort to retaliating, and then you get penalties. And what have the Carolina Hurricanes been great at throughout the playoffs? Killing penalties. How'd they do last night? How'd they do in game one?
They've committed 2 retaliatory penalties in this series. The puck's been in the back of the net both times on the power play.
This is the team we all want our team to play like.
Yes.
So if you can just flat out say it's jealousy, and whatever team you root for, you're pissed because your team doesn't look like the Florida Panthers, I'll buy that. Because I would trade every player on the team I root for the entire Panthers organization right flipping now. That's how I want my team to play. And yeah, Marchand's a rat. I get it. He's a good one. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. And would you take him on your third line? Because I think the answer is yes.
Hell, you take him on your second line. Who are you kidding?
I'm hoping that my team goes after him in the offseason. Right now, there are people in Detroit that want Mitch Marner. Screw that. Give me a Bennett. Give me a Marchand. And let's go with the not top free agent. Let's go with maybe 3, 5, and 7. Pay a little less and, not have Mitch the you-know-what on your team in the postseason where he fails every year.
I will say this, though. Bennett's, apparently the word's already out. Bennett's getting at least 10. The days of
he's not worth
it. The day I agree, but the days of getting Bennett for $7.5 million, apparently, although the one thing the Florida teams have, along with Dallas and Vegas, is the no tax state. In all seriousness, you can make less and yet take home more. Okay, and it's a league-wide issue. They're wondering if they actually need to have different caps for different teams because of the taxes. We can talk about that at a later date. By the way, the 2 dirtiest hits in this series, Aho's hit last night, Svechnikov taking out Bob in game 1. And then the very next shift, by the way, they kicked Bob in the head. If the Florida Panthers did this, there'd be calls for suspensions. Neither one of these hits got penalized. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So whoever said that, I saw your comment that Harold's got a little press. That's great for them. I don't know how much they need it, but I'm actually heading there for dinner on Saturday. Logic Man, you think the whole world is against your teams. I will say that, and I don't get that same feeling. And I don't know if you were on yesterday. I really, really want your Phillies to play my Tigers in the World Series because I want to see your Philly tough guy attitude against the Detroit fan. That would be must see to me because Detroit would look at you like, really? Okay, Philly, come on. Yeah, they were, Mark, and that's when they started winning and they started losing those third and fourth line guys. Never said they're a clean team, Irish. You make them out to be the dirtiest team since the Broad Street Bullies in the 70s. I don't think they're that bad. Yeah, I'll give that place a little while before I check it out. But yes, there's also for any, I don't know if any of you have been, there's a Mexican restaurant in Bonita that's intrigued me because they've got some menu items that no other Mexican restaurants. They've got a mole, they've got those, what is it, the Barrera tacos, and I don't see a lot of places that have that. And I think it's it's the corner of 41, kind of kitty corner from where Aguanamia is. And not many people make it, Deadstroke. That's why it's tough to find. I was actually, Gina, who does mornings on 106 in this building, she's a big foodie and writes a food blog. And I asked her, she didn't know of a place. It's hard to make. It's like, I've looked it up. It's literally like 80 different or, 25, 30 ingredients in it. I will probably butcher the pronunciation. Malinche, Mexican cuisine, Malinche. And it looks, I read a review that looked pretty good. It's a little, little expensive for my taste for Mexican food because you can get some, you can obviously get it really cheap. Do I want some good news on Bo Nix? I don't care. I don't care about any news on Bo Nix, quite frankly. But sure, give me some good news on Bo Nix. Did he knock his fiance or no? McCarthy knocked his fiance up. That was the news there. Sonny, that would mean I'd have to go to Cape Coral. I'll pass. That's the place, Nix.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts. Heading into Memorial Day weekend coming up here on Miller and Moulton. If I could continue the conversation, but also put a bow on it quickly. Listen, we're in agreement that the national media is not giving the Panthers enough credit. I will say, though, the Miami sports fan whines a lot. They do. The Heat fan is convinced that they haven't gotten enough credit for what their franchise has become. And I've always argued with them going, the national media loves Pat Riley, loves Eric Spoelstra, loved D. Wade. Okay. When LeBron was there, they loved, the attention that you guys got. Okay. They loved Jimmy Butler until the last few months. I mean, I don't know how much more the whole Heat culture thing. I don't know how much more positive coverage you could get, but Heat fans are convinced the national media dogs them, and you can't convince them. And the Miami media feeds it also. Like you and I both love Tim Reynolds on the Associated Press. The one that Tim will constantly go on X and basically say that the Miami teams are not getting enough love and credit. He does say that. He believes it. So there is that part. I got to say this, Mark, our beloved hockey, ESPN ratings are down 28%.
Yep.
TNTs are down 19%.
Yeah.
And remember, Penguins, Blackhawks, Red Wings, they didn't make the playoffs last year either. Now, the Rangers and Bruins did.
And the Rangers went far. So,
right.
So.
But a lot of the teams this year that are in the playoffs were in the playoffs last year. Ratings are down. Meanwhile, game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final in basketball was a monster. Highest rated game 1 of a conference final in 7 years. And that was LeBron against the Celtics on ABC 7 years ago. This Knicks Pacers game 1 peaked at 8.5 million, averaged just under 7 on Turner. Now, they got an amazing game. But, we'll see if this continues. They obviously need the Knicks to win tonight if interest in that series will continue.
No doubt. They definitely want a Knicks win. I've got to get to this story. None of you probably care about this tournament, but this is a box score of the like I've never seen before. So the conference baseball tournaments are going on in college baseball right now.
Yep.
The MAC tournament, which no one cares about, but the winner gets a bid to the college tournament. There was a game on Wednesday that was supposed to be played between Toledo and Bowling Green, just outside of Cleveland in Avon, Ohio. Rained, so they pushed the start to 9 a.m. Thursday. It was raining hard Thursday morning, but the MAC insisted that the show must go on.
Oh, wow.
They played 2 innings before the officials decided to postpone the game. But the damage was already done. In 2 innings played, 16 runs were scored with a total of 4 hits.
Oh, come on.
The pitching staffs combined to record 12 walks, 8 wild pitches, and 6 hit batters across the 34 batters faced. 18 of the game's first 22 base runners reached base via a free pass. There were no defensive errors, and few balls were put in play. It was raining hard, there was fog, and there were 20-mile-an-hour winds when the game began. people blistered the MAC for having the game. Toledo scored 9 runs in the top of the second. Bowling Green, 5 in the bottom of the first, 2 in the top of the second before the game was postponed. Toledo would go on to win 14-12 in what looked to be a mockery of the sport. I mean, David, you love your box scores. You follow all sports as well as any human I've ever met. 2 innings, 12 walks, 8 wild pitches, and 6 hit batsmen.
12 walks and 6 hit batsmen and 2. It's 18 guys reaching base without a hit.
Right.
In 2 innings.
Thank you.
In 2 innings. I mean, Mark, if you think about it, that's first off, oftentimes you don't even get through the whole lineup once in 2 innings. Okay. But even if you do, so that's 9 for each side. That's 18 guys right there.
They began the game at They began the game at 9. They played the 2 innings, suspended the game, and because of the elements, did not pick up the game until 5 p.m., 8 hours after the first pitch. Even the event planners that are the NCAA, I don't think would make that big of a gaffe. People in the MAC should be fired for this, David.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
I saw it this morning. I'm like, there's going to be a time we're going to have a little time, and I've got to get this out there because I don't know about you, but I've never heard of anything quite like that.
Mark, 12 walks and 6 hit batsmen in a 9-inning game would be noteworthy. That was in the first 2 innings?
In the first 2 innings.
Oh, my goodness. And no errors. Also, you would think with the field had to be muddy.
Yes.
I mean, there had to be standing water on the field at times, in the outfield at least. And nobody reached via an error. Wow.
Nobody reached via an error. Bowling Green had 1 hit. Toledo had 3. It was 9-7 after 2, where it was just pouring rain. But they yet continued to play because, David, sometimes the show just must go on.
Remember, Mark, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids.
And we know how much NIL money the college baseball kid at a MAC school is getting. They're
Right,
not
and we
even
know how
getting a
much-
full scholarship. They're not getting it. They're getting a third of a scholarship, maybe, and then no NIL money. But let's make sure we play these games because you've got to get them in.
Well, and not only that, boy, you want to talk about a revenue generator.
Right.
Okay. How about Bowling Green, Kent State on a Thursday in Avon? Hello.
I've got if you're the parent of a kid that goes to every game, how long did you stay in the crowd before you said enough of this?
How many parents in the area went to work that day and in texting with their kid, hey, how did it go? We were suspended after 2. How many parents showed up to watch the game after they worked, figuring they'd miss the game? They'd catch the next one.
So
My
just a little
goodness.
college baseball for you as the conference tournaments are underway. And there's super regionals in softball this weekend, right?
Yes, which get underway today. FGCU, by the way, lost a heartbreaker last night in the 9th to Stetson 5-4. It was a tremendous game, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 4-4. Stetson at home, because they seemingly host the baseball tournament every year, scored 1 in the bottom of the 9th to beat FGCU 5-4. FGCU now has to try to get to the finals via the loser bracket, and that's going to be tough to do.
Tough to do because you don't typically have the pitching to get
Right.
through the bottom half of the bracket.
So they won on Wednesday, but lost last night.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when in What's on Tap. That's how we'll finish off the week. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, he's got to get out of there.
I prevented myself from being really snarky a moment ago, David. You'd be proud of me. I think it was either during Pat's interview or during Bill's interview. I think it was Pat's. that the door opened to my little door opened here in the studio. You know, where those 5 red lights that say
On air.
ONAIR. And I looked, and it was the person that's in charge of this building. And he, just kind of gave a wave and left. And so I texted him. I said, "Did you need anything?" And he's like, "No, I was just giving a client a tour of the station." And I nearly sent back, "Did those on-air lights distract you?" I did.
Keep it all on the inside.
Right.
Fossy.
Right.
Right.
I did have to laugh when I was doing Today Was the Day When, in the last 10 days, Martha Graham, her birthday, and I almost included it because no one knows who the hell that is other than that, and I just sat there doing it, laughing, because I used to get up in the morning and do Today Was the Day When. I've been doing it during usually the first intermission of the hockey game, just so it's done and it makes my mornings a little easier. And I saw that, and I just sat and laughed.
Martha Graham, Madonna, nada, but you got to keep it all on the inside. When Nathan Lane gets up and does his walk when they're at the little cafe and looks at him and goes, "What?" And Robin Williams goes, "Nothing. I just didn't realize John Wayne walked that way." God, that's funny.
That is a highly underrated movie. When my favorite's when they're showing Crossfire and Hackman, and they're just screaming at one another, and Hackman looks at his wife because it's the most intelligent show on television.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Final segment of our week. We'll have a best of show on Monday, Memorial Day. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Hey, before you do your thing, we brought this up, I don't know, 2-3 months ago when the decision was made, but I don't know how many people are going to watch. I don't know how many people still watch. I don't know how many people really consistently watched. But today is the final episode of Around the Horn, which airs 5 to 5:30 on ESPN leading into PTI, and has since early November of 2002 just under 5,000 episodes. Nearly, 22 and a half years. That's a hell of a run. PTI came first. Then they came up with this. Max Kellerman was the first host. Didn't last long. Tony Reality's been doing it a long time. I did read something, Mark, which I thought was that you mentioned it earlier this week. The best ever ending to a series was Bob Newhart's second show. When he wakes up in bed, and he's talking, "I've had this dream," and the whole deal and what have you, and the woman next to him is his wife from the first Newhart. Okay? Incredible. They said, if they wanted to, that Reality should start doing the show and Max Kellerman should just walk in. Now, the thing is, I don't know how many people would know the reference.
I don't think they would. I will say, I've read a couple of articles about the show because he went and did Dan Patrick, and he's done a bunch of shows here this week. And apparently, I think he's revealing his scoring at the end of it today. He's already kind of figured out how he's going to end the show. But they did, a couple of the articles I read made a point. When the show started out, the show was all media members who were sports writers in different towns. The show's finished with 4 ESPN talking heads. It's not the same show as when it started. Not even close.
No. And, I enjoyed it earlier in its history. To me, Woody Page was the best panelist. Okay. Reali seems to think it was Bob Ryan. Okay. You can't get any more opinionated and stronger in his opinions than Bob Ryan. But, you know, I mean, like all talking head shows, they have their moments. You decide for yourself. But Around the Horn today, final episode, and then it's no more. And here's the funny thing, Mark. ESPN, maybe they know, but every time they're asked what's going to replace it, they're like, I don't know.
Well, apparently the talk was Shannon Sharp was going to get the slot, but then his whole thing happened and that went away.
Right.
Reality, I thought the funny thing is when he asked how he found out, and he said the New York Post.
Right. I read it in Andrew Marchand's column. Okay. And of course, ESPN denied it, but we all know once it's in the Post, it's happening. And he did point out, he said the thing that was confusing to me and to us with the show is this ain't a ratings thing.
No.
He goes, he said, oftentimes we're the second highest rated show on that network from 6A to 6P. He goes, only PTI beats, he goes, oftentimes we have every bit the ratings, if not better, that Stephen A show has, that Greeny show has, etc. So anyway, last day for Around the Horn.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today Was the Day When is brought to you by the good folks at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com or call today 427-3441. That's 239-427-3441. Locations in Bonita Springs and Naples. 10% off if you mention Miller and Moulton. All right. We start in 1785. It was today that Benjamin Franklin announced his invention of bifocals. 1845, the New York City Police Department is formed, replaces an old night watch system. Bonnie and Clyde shot dead near Sales, Louisiana today in 1934. The Who released Tommy, their rock opera, today in 1969. 1970, the Grateful Dead's first performance outside of the U.S. in Newcastle, England. 1980, the movie The Shining, based on the Stephen King book, is released. It's a great movie. This one mainly for David and I and the old boxing fans among us. It was today in 1981 that Wilfred Benitez, at the age of 22, becomes the youngest three-division world champion in history by winning the super welterweight belt, knocking out Maurice Hope in 12. He wasn't very good.
And that's who Sugar Ray, I believe, isn't that who Sugar Ray beat to become champion for the first time?
Benitez?
Didn't he beat Benitez and then Benitez went up a weight class?
You could be, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I'll have to look it up.
Couple of things today in 84. Two movies premiered. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the second in the film series. The epic crime film, one of my all-time favorites, Once Upon a Time in America, released today in 1984. De Niro and James Woods. It is a great movie. Pulp Fiction wins the big award at the Cannes Film Festival today in 1994. Eminem releases the Marshall Mathers LP, the fastest ever selling studio album. It won the Grammy for Best Rap Album, released in 2000, won the award in 2001. And today in 2021, Phil Mickelson, at the age of 50, wins his sixth major, winning the PGA at Kiowa.
He never would have made the money, obviously, that he has made by going to LIV. But at that moment, he was a month shy of 51, and he was going to be the voice of golf. There was a chance Phil was going to have the main analyst job for both CBS and NBC. They both had contracts in front of them, and both networks had basically agreed, hey, if you want to do both, you can do it.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler would have celebrated a birthday today. Joan Collins is 92.
Wow.
John Newcomb is 81. Buck Showalter, 69. Drew Carey and Mitch Albom are each 67. Jewel and Ken Jennings are both 51. Golfer Morgan Pressel is 37, and Aaron Donald is 34. What did I miss, David?
Well, I know you did something in the 1700s, and now I'm trying to figure out, was it this? Because, I've been paying better attention lately. Did you do Benjamin Franklin and bifocals?
I sure did.
That was the first one. Damn it! I had been doing so well. I think
You
3
had.
days in a row.
You had. I could tell early you were doing your research, and I thought you might have missed that one.
Well, and I heard you say Bonnie and Clyde, and I'm like, oh, man, I wanted to do that one. Listen, for you, Tom Petty today was the day he filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And really went all out in the fight with the record label, changed the music industry. Every artist should thank Tom Petty. Those contracts that they were signing before Tom Petty, awful. And Tom Petty helped change the music industry, and quite frankly, musicians started making money. All right.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, we go to Palmetto Ridge High School, where at graduation, Sebastian Gamboa flew in from Okinawa, Japan. He's a Marine. His younger brother had no idea he was coming home. And just moments before he walked across stage to receive his diploma, his brother greeted him. They both graduated from Palmetto Ridge High School, and his older brother was there to see his younger brother get his diploma. Awesome. For the bad, we go to Inglewood. Always up to no good in Inglewood. You guys know that. Tristan Royer, a suspect in multiple thefts in Inglewood, was arrested while trying to rob a boat, according to the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. He was found early Tuesday morning as he was seen pushing a stolen John boat into the water. Despite commands to stop, he fled onto the waterway. Sheriff Bill Prummel praised his team for being able to apprehend the suspect. And finally, the ugly is a bit of it's not a bit of it's a follow-up, David. We finally got the guy. Jorge Garza was arrested. He's the man who came out of the vehicle in San Carlos Park to attack the kid who accidentally threw his Play-Doh at the car. He came out of the car, tackled and punched the kid, and left. It took Lee County Sheriff's Office a few weeks to find Garza, but they did. He is now facing 2 counts of child abuse. While he had no reason to ever do that, I'm still trying to figure out how you accidentally throw something at a car.
It's impossible.
Thank you.
I mean,
that
you could
is
say
good.
I was aiming here, and I wasn't aiming for the car. I mean, is
You were
that how
throwing
he's trying to
things
say?
into a busy road. Come on. It's a 45-mile-an-hour
aiming-
speed limit on that road.
I was aiming for the stop sign. I didn't mean to hit the car. Is that his story, and he's sticking to it?
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday, May the 23rd, here on Miller and Moulton.
Holiday weekend. Baseball used to be really popular on holiday weekends. Okay. In fact, I remember back in the day, Memorial Day, the Mets played a doubleheader if they were home at Shea on Memorial Day. Okay, so the Yankees have been playing a lot better of late, and we know how bad the Rockies are, and the Rockies are hosting the Yankees.
I'm
Wow.
sorry to all the Rocky fans out there. I want them to lose every damn game. Just keep losing. I want a buck.
The red hot Phillies are in Sacramento to face the A's, who have lost, what is it, 9 in a row? 9 in a row. Yeah. A couple of the decent series. Dodgers in New York to play the Mets. What do we got? Seattle and Houston are 2 winning teams. They'll continue their series over the weekend. Kansas City and Minnesota to play the Twins. For what it's worth, the Marlins are playing the Red Hot Angels in LA, and the Rays are hosting Toronto. They're 2 games behind the Jays, and the Jays are in second place. So Rays need to at least win the series, gain some ground, get back to 500, get in second place, and go from there. All right, game 2 tonight, hockey, Western Conference. If it's out west, it's on ESPN, hoops and hockey. Edmonton, Dallas, game 2 tonight. By the way, and Edmonton's not happy about this, game 3 is Sunday at 3 Eastern. Is that 1 in the afternoon or noon in Edmonton?
1, I believe. I think they're Mountain.
So you're playing, think about this. They're playing a night game Friday night in Dallas, and they got a 1 o'clock local drop the puck on Sunday in Edmonton on ABC. And no one's happy about it, for what it's worth. Game 2 tonight, Pacers and Knicks. I say the Knicks even things up.
I agree, for the record.
We both picked the Pacers to win the series. We're both standing by it. And since it's the Eastern Conference, hoops and hockey, it's on TNT. Hey, do you think the Panther series will be over by the time we're back?
No, I think Carolina will get 1 of 2.
Oh. You think the Panthers go out partying, playing golf, and just mail one in, don't you?
I don't know about mail one in, but I think Carolina is going to have an inspired performance in game 3.
Okay. We'll say when the Panthers returned home after winning the first 2 in Tampa, Lightning whooped them like 5-1 in game 3. So we'll see.
By the way, today's carb day for Indy, but the more important race is the first ever Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles Weenie 500 that you can stream on Fox Sports. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the 500 and all the sports. We'll be back Tuesday, 6 a.m. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton